O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
How long to sing this song? How long to sing this song? Good morning. How y'all doing out there? Yep, we got our Edge Pop Funko yesterday. Today, well, day before yesterday, we got our Edge. Yeah, we did. We got it on a Sunday. They deliver all days. And now, yesterday in the mail, we got our Bono Funko Pop. So the collection grows. I'm telling you, we're gonna get a whole new setup. I'm gonna, gotta talk. I gotta talk to my man Eric at EJD. He's gotta help me out. I gotta bring Sean over. We gotta reset the cameras, and we gotta do all kinds of stuff. We gotta change this up, bro. We gotta have a bigger stage, a bigger, view of everything, so we can put all kinds of stuff out on display. Shouldn't Bono's glasses be red? It's Bono. He can put them at any color he wants, bro. Pink, red, blue, green, yellow, doesn't really matter. It's a mashup. That's what it is. You mash it up. It's all kinds of colors. It's Bono. He's a rock star. He's in a Ukrainian subway performing. That's just the way it is. He's everywhere. He's like savoir-faire. But anyway, so we got our we're big U2 fans, obviously, monster U2 fans. Next tour, I guarantee you, guaranteed, when they take out their next album, whenever the hell that is, and their next tour, I am bucket listing, and I will see U2 in Ireland the next time that they are, they've got their tour going. I've got to go to Ireland. Have to. So that's a must for me. So that'll be you will see that we might be doing a show from Ireland in a couple of years, whenever that the new album's announced, whenever the new tour's announced, whenever they're going to Ireland. We will definitely go to Dublin and Cork. Would it be Cork? Would be the other one? We have any listeners in Ireland right now They might download later. I know we have listeners in Ireland, believe it or not. I know that because I see all the countries that download our show, which is just absolutely freaking crazy, dude. Like, it's all over the world, which is like super, super, super cool. Bobby Weir in February. What are we talking like Grateful Dead here? Bob Weir? What are we talking about here? I don't. What's that mean, Mark Craven? I have no idea what that means. Is that like a Grateful Dead thing? What are we doing? I don't know. You got me tripping there. As long as Rockin' Batman is on top, yes. Batman is right next to Marino. Sean, you may want to take off because I know why. What's it called? I know why GP Trap is mentioning it because he gave me Rockin' Batman. Can you see it right? Yeah, right there. There's my finger. See Rockin' Batman? Right there. It's next to Marino. Problem is you can't see everything now. You can't see like under Marino is Marino's Pop Funko. And then DJ Galaga gave me the Galaga, and it's under that. And then there's a Tua doll. Oh, you can see Tua's head. That's about it right there. You can see his head. You got the Ibis, but you don't see Jay Fiedler. You don't see Edge. You don't see Bono. You don't see Jeff Conan. I mean, these are things you don't see the Rat. It's kind of tough. We gotta, we need we need a wider shot, man. We gotta have a wider shot, and so we can include everything. I got work to do here in the studio. That's what I can tell you. I got a lot of work to do in the studio. Anthony Campos, Big O Sunday, they controlled us on the line of scrimmage. The 49ers are so dynamic to have McCaffrey and then have Debo to run the game. We just don't match up well against them. Anthony, that's all bullshit, dude. Tua hits all those passes, and the game's completely different. And there's no turnovers, and there is no free points for them, and there's no short fields for them, and they lose. Stop it with that shit. Had nothing to do with their defense. They made a couple of plays, sure, and at the end when the game was over, yeah, whatever, dude. It was all the passing game, period. That's it, dude. That's all it was. If Tua's on, they lose, period. End of story. Tua wasn't being flushed out of the pocket and wasn't pressured all the time or anything. Receivers weren't covered all over the place, or they were open. Tua didn't hit them. That's it. The rest is bullshit, dude. It's just because you lost, you go find a whole bunch of crappy excuses. The referees, oh, no, their defense did this. Oh, we couldn't stop Boza. Really analyze the Boza sacks. The one he comes up the middle, completely untouched. You get the two running backs blocking him, which was a stupid scheme in the first place. Okay? McDaniel's not perfect. That was stupid. Period. And then you got the sack at the end when the game was over and you created the turnover. Big deal, dude. It's really not anything out of this world. Yes, their defense is awesome, but McDaniel perfectly designed the way to attack it. And Tua just didn't hit it. The rest is bullshit. So I'm sorry, Anthony. Love you. You're always tuning in, but you're all wrong if you're talking about the referees or their defense or this and that. The Dolphins beat the Dolphins, not the Niners. The Dolphins gave that game away because, unfortunately, Uno was not sharp, and that's it. End of story. You hit those open receivers. You even throw that pass to Gesicki. You're still alive. And you threw it wrong. You put it here where the defender can get to it. Everything was about ball placement and accuracy. And Tua just did not have it. So the rest is a bunch of crap. That's all. Accept it the way it came. It was a loss, and the quarterback did not play well. Period. don't reach for anything else. Everything else is crap. Tua hits those guys, then he continues to hit other guys, drives continue to stay alive, and you're fine. Everything was designed perfectly from the first play of the goddamn game. So it is, while I can kill McDaniel and Frank and everybody else that set up the blocking scheme for 2 running backs to block Bosa, I can kill him for all that. But none of it matters, because if Tua hits all his open receivers, the game is over. That's it. I'm not sure why people have problems accepting what happened. Okay? Nobody backs Tua more than I do. But if he doesn't play well, I'm going to tell you it's his fault for something that's supposed to be his fault. For 2 years, I told you it was everybody else's fault. Didn't I? Didn't I defend Tua in the worst moments for 2 years? Did I not defend Tua? Did I ever blame him? No, because I knew he never had a chance to succeed with the shit around him. Tua had every chance to succeed on Sunday against the Niners. He did not succeed. Have some balls, strap on a pair, have some courage, look in the mirror, and blame what you're supposed to blame. So when you screw up, look in the mirror and say, I screwed up. And if Tua screwed up, you say it, you call it like you like what it is. Had nothing to do with anything. Everything else was in the periphery. Everything else could, change a little bit here, a little bit there, whatever. But what altered that entire game was his lack of accuracy on that day. And if you don't want to admit it, then I don't know if you're willing to be objective. And that's the reason why I say most people can't do this job. Because they will allow some kind of a bias to get in their way, one way or another. And I'm sorry, that's not what we do here on this show. We don't do that. We call it like we see it. And clearly, Tua lost that game by miles. It's not even close. That's it. So he can't play like that anymore. That's all. You play like that, you got no shot. I know, because I've watched this for 25 years. He played like quarterbacks you've had here in the past. That's all. So it was a day off. It happened several times to Marino in 17 years. There were probably 8, 10, 12 of those games, in his lifetime where you just said, yeah, this is one of those days where Marino doesn't have it. And it's Marino. That's it. He was forcing it, turning it over. It is what it is. It happens. And that's the way I'm going to look at it now. I'm not going to look at it like there's anything more to it, because there isn't any more to it. It was a bad day. It's up to the young man to correct it. And guess what? He's got Sunday night to correct this issue. That's all. So much Tua Fins hate after Sunday. Sick of our so-called fans bashing our squad. It was one loss. Let's move on. The problem, Lisa, is in life, period, the complainer is the loud one. Even if they're the minority. And I believe most Dolphin fans are pretty calm and cool, collective about it. But you have a small portion of Dolphin fans that are a bunch of, just negative. Listen, my cell phone, and Lisa, you have my cell phone. Many people reach out to me during a game. And now I'm working and I'm trying. I can't answer everybody. But my friends and family members and acquaintances and people around the country that, you occasionally go back and forth, all kinds of different people that I know. When something negative happens, I see it from them. And then I see it on the Twitter feed and all that. And there's this percentage of people that are just panic. And they panic right away and they love to complain, right? I've got a couple of friends of mine that while Tua's dealing, they don't say shit. They don't say anything. Like after the game, they'll say, "Oh, man, nice win, bro. That was a good win, man." And then if Tua throws an interception or, "Oh, dude, Tua's all this, that," and right away, it's just complaining. It's complaining. That's all. It's sometimes just because they're loud doesn't mean they're the majority. You know what I mean? Example, the Trumpies. They've never been the majority. They've lost every election, right? And they're lucky that the rest of the party got on the train. Now they're getting off the train, and what's left are those hardcore Trumpies. Now they're going to be loud, but they're not the majority. I mean, think about it. The man with the orange hair lost to a pathetic Hillary. Then the man with the orange hair lost even worse to Biden. Like, these are terrible candidates that they're going up against. But you hear the Trumpies, they're super loud. But they're the minorities. It's the way it goes. You know what I mean? But they're loud. They're obnoxious sometimes. It's kind of part of it. The Tua haters, they're loud, they're obnoxious, but they're the minority. I think overall, most people, but they don't bother. Elon Musk had a poll the other day to allow Trump back onto Twitter, right? And in the poll, Trump won, right? You know why? Because most people that don't care about Trump, they have lives. They're not going to be voting for that stupid thing. But the loud ones, the Trumpies, those are the ones that are all voted. That's why the poll worked. If the poll was really left out to people that had lives who really don't care about Trump, but they're not going to go voting for something. They don't care. The loud and the obnoxious doesn't mean that they're the majority. So the loud and obnoxious Dolphin fan is not the majority. It's just a weak part of our Dolphin nation. That's what it is. They're soft. They're folding after any little thing. How do you fold after this game when you've won 5 in a row? What are you supposed to win them all now? This was a game this is a game we kept talking about, a great defense. I had people calling me, telling me, "Oh, let's kick their ass." I'm like, no, this is just win and survive. That's a great defense you're playing. Just find a way to win the game. That's all it is. But the loud ones, they expect, well, no, now the backups are, no, we got to kick their ass. You're still playing a good defense, right? You can't reason with the unreasonable. Okay? That's all. Can't reason with the unreasonable. And that's what's going on with those Dolphin fans that are jumping ship or pointing fingers or complaining about the team or Tua or anything. For you to complain one loss after 5 straight, you're basically an idiot. But you're a loud idiot. So you want people to hear you. So I hope I kind of explained it. Like I've told you guys many times, right? You go to a restaurant, you have a great meal, you loosen up that belt one slot, you feel really good, and you're walking out, you're picking your teeth, you're talking this, that, boom. Nobody heard from you in the kitchen. 99% of the time. Why? Because 99.9% of the time, You have a great meal. You never pull the maitre d' over, the waitress, the waiter, and you say, do me a favor. Could you tell the chef, by the way, this is the greatest fish I've ever had. This pasta was, oh my God. This steak was, you never do that. Now, if it's cold, if it's not cooked right, if there's a hair, they're going to hear from your ass. The manager's going to hear from you. The waitress is going to hear from you. The waiter's going to hear from you. The maitre d' is going to hear from you. The chef's going to hear from you. The owner's going to hear from you. You're loud. And in a good restaurant, it probably happens very few times. But the few times it happens, it's loud. The few, the proud, the loud. All right. Anyway. What else do we have here? I saw a young, inexperienced team get beat by a very good, experienced team. The Dolphins will learn and grow from the loss. Not much more than that to take from this game. What's so experienced about San Francisco? Is there a ton of guys there that were in the Super Bowl? Or has there been turnover already from that Super Bowl several years ago? I'm not sure that team is so experienced, my man. Yeah, I don't know about that. I just think that I just think Tua played like shit. I'm sorry. As Dennis Green would say, they let him off the hook. That's all. But I mean, listen, if it helps you sleep at night, that you want to put the 49ers in this incredible pedestal, then you go ahead, man. You go ahead. What else do we have? Big O, did Twitter offer Elon Musk $1 billion to keep him off Twitter? He owns Twitter, sir. How can they offer him any money to keep him off Twitter? I'm not sure. Where'd you get that stupid story? Facebook? Tua had a bad game. It sucks, but it does not define him or the team. It was a rare occurrence. A lot more great QBs would have had undefeated seasons. It's just a bad day, man. Dolphins have lost 4 games, and all 4 games we beat ourselves. Feels nice to finally have a team that can beat anybody. I agree with you, Justin. Wholeheartedly, my friend. Big O nailed it. Fins within a TD with 3 minutes remaining in the game. It's like the Jets game. They were right there, and then all the stupid mistakes at the end, and it's just a deceiving score. And I'm sorry, Don't wear a belt anymore. And I do is I compliment the cook if they deserve it. I'm old school like you, Big O. I know that, GP Trap, but that's not the norm. That's not the norm. They only hear from you when they complain. That's the problem. Big O, this is why I followed you from the first team guys where to Hollywood couldn't take your honesty. Yeah, Hollywood's a good dude, bro. Hollywood's a good dude. I like Hollywood. He says some crazy ass shit sports wise. I mean, his points of view when it comes to sports is, way off a lot of times. But he's a good dude. And in the end, he does accept the honesty. He may not be able to be completely honest on the air in that station because you got to watch out sometimes over there at that station. Like all stations, you got to play the politics. But Hollywood's a good dude. Terrible sports opinion, but good dude. Eric Echevarria, let's see what Steve M has to say. Steve M, Steve M, he sent me one yesterday, by the way. He was all hot and bothered. Steve M. Let me share Steve M's hate with you all. We love Steve M, by the way, but he is very frustrating and very funny. I love the trash I get for not changing my mind about Tua because you and everyone that loves him could watch him lose the rest of the season and not change your mind either. So we're all the same stubborn a-holes. I'm more honest about being one. Well, I'm super honest about being stubborn and being set in my ways. I have no problem with that. The problem is, Steve, when has it happened that he's going to play bad the entire season? See, that's the thing. I have more proof that he plays well than he plays bad. He's only had one bad game, really, and that was this one, this week. That's it. Outside of that, the kid's been lights out all year. So you stand by your word that you don't believe Tua's the guy, and I stand by mine that Tua's the guy. But thank you for the Venmo. And remember, you can also make a donation through Cash App or Venmo, whether we agree or disagree, like Steve M., which we completely disagree with Steve M. about Tua because he's a Tua hater, not a believer. So, but you can send it Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. Remember, the good thing about Cash App or Venmo, we get 100% of the donation. On YouTube, they take 30. Okay. And by the way, I'm thinking now, I'm thinking about this, Sean. The Rumble stuff, maybe what we could do is just a small separate show on Rumble. Right? Because if they're going to, because, it's kind of weird if they're going to keep the, rights to the programming, then we just do only but I'm not giving him control of this show. That makes no sense. And we got to ask for permission to use our own material. No. That's a communist bunch of crap. But there's people following us continually on Rumble because I'm getting all the notifications. Where are we at? Can you check the number for Rumble now? We got to be getting close to 140, 150 or something. I have no idea what it is, but I know we keep getting notifications. So people at least are signing up. And maybe what we do, maybe we do a separate mini show on Rumble, something like that. But it's kind of a convoluted thing. And it's
127.
What is it?
127.
127. There you go. What's the worst part about it is with Rumble? And you were right, Sean. They don't have all the information about how they handle your account. There's a lot of gray area. They don't explain everything. And it's very unorganized, I got to say. As you look into it, because remember, you got to read, you got to find out, you got to do your homework, and I don't mind trying another streaming service that could be another revenue stream for us. Obviously, we need as many revenue streams as possible to survive, but it's kind of fishy, that Rumble thing, man. I got to say, it's kind of fishy. By the way, Sports Grill, a proud sponsor of the program. We love talking about Sports Grill. 7 awesome locations. Stay tuned. The 8th location is coming, but we got the World Cup going on. Got Canes. Heat basketball. Tonight you can watch Heat basketball. Panthers hockey. You've got the Miami Dolphins going on. NFL games. Thursday night, last night, Monday night. Was a crappy game going on. If you watch that shit, you can watch all kinds of football at Sports Grill. 7 great locations. The 8th one is coming. $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during the NCAA and NFL games. So when the bowl games are going on, you can take advantage. They've got now the cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea. They've added it to their new cocktail list. Only $5 during NCAA and NFL games. $12 domestic pitchers, bone-in wings, 15% off. They've added a couple of new items to the menu, the buttermilk chicken sandwich and the buffalo tater tots. And they are so well known for their hot sauces. I mean, that's one of the things about, when we talk about the special grilled wings, that's a delicacy that is, just historic. You know what I'm saying? It's not just great wings. The special grilled wings are one of the best meals in the world, period. That's just, because, people say, oh, that's the greatest wing. Fine. How about that's one of the greatest meals in the entire planet? I mean, it could be something that I might pick if I was going to get electrocuted. You know, if I was some kind of a monster and killed a bunch of people and they were sending me to the electric chair and they said, your final meal, I could pick special grilled wings. I'm telling you, man. So anyway, they've got the buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the dale, and you can take them home with you now. So you can douse everything with it. Your dog. No, don't do that to the dog. But anyway, today's Tuesday, $2 tacos, chicken, beef, and fish. So check it out. Go to sportsgrill.com and find the nearest location. All right. What else do we have here? Jose, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, all I know is that the better team lost on Sunday. I'm with you, man. I think Tua doesn't play like that again, and they'll win the next time around. So if they happen to make it to the Super Bowl, which I doubt now, look, I don't even think that kid Brock Purdy is going to play like that the rest of the way. He probably had his moment in the sun. That's it. Eric Echevarria, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, have you mentioned Crowder? His style seems similar. He keeps you locked in with humor and depth analysis. Him, Tobin, Whitlock. Whitlock's a piece of shit. I don't care about Jason Whitlock. He's garbage. Tobin is a class act. Tobin's fun. Tobin, he's got his shtick. He helps keep their YouTube page alive. That's for sure. And I mean, he is so underappreciated, put it that way. Okay. And Crowder's awesome. Now the show that he does with Hawk, and I like those guys. I like Hawk. I like Crowder. I think they do a great job goofing off the way they do. Now Crowder in what's that called? The Pivot. He does great work there. And obviously when you want him to get to talking sports, but that show is not about sports. So that's the thing, that's why maybe, look, they do a great job screwing off. It's not my kind of show because of that. If not, I'll go listen to music. I don't really want to listen to a couple guys laugh at their own jokes, for 3 hours. That's not kind of, my thing. Sorry. It's just one of those deals. They do a fun job with it. They have it. And if any of you enjoy it, that's fantastic. To each his own. But usually if I turn on, if I'm going to listen to radio, then I want real talk and I want real sports talk. And so that's the reason why that show doesn't really fly for me, because it's not real sports talk. Now, if you're listening and you don't care about the sports talk, and I'll tune in for a segment or two and they're screwing off, I'll listen to it. You know what I mean? But yeah, the work Crowder does in the Pivot is exceptional. That's fun. And he challenges people and things like that. And I like that. That's my kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But on that regular show with Hawk, they do a fun job, but it's, when I listen to sports talk, I'm hoping that I hear something that makes me think and enlightens me, educates me on something, whatever. And I'm not going to ever get that. So I might as well, I'll go listen to music or something like that. So it is what it is. But definitely Crowder does a very good job. Big O, who is the most deserving in your mind for Pro Bowl consideration on the Fins? I see Hill, Waddle, Tua, and Wilkins. Armstead, who did I miss? Armstead, there's other guys that have played the whole season. So, unfortunately, just because he's important to us doesn't mean he's earned the right to be a Pro Bowler because he has not played the entire season. Okay? So, that's my problem with Armstead. So, he's out. I'll vote for him because I'm a Dolphins fan. But real consideration, Christian Wilkins, real consideration, Tua, Hill, and Waddle, and that's where, and Javon Holland. Javon Holland. I would put Holland instead of Armstead. That guy plays every play. On a short week, 90-something plays. I don't
care what it is, Javon Holland is out there. So Javon Holland is an absolute badass. By the way, he had a wicked hit this past week. Man, he knocked the crap out of that dude. So I would put Javon Holland in there. I don't think Teron Armstead deserves any consideration at all for the Pro Bowl. Any whatsoever. Okay? That is just being a fan. You know, you're just thinking about how important he is for the Dolphins. But I'm sure there's other left tackles out there that have played the entire season and have had no setbacks whatsoever and have played more than he has. And I would probably put them in front of him overall. Is he awesome? Great when he plays. But, yeah, that's the only one I would disagree with you, Ray, and I'd switch it up for Javon Holland instead. And that's about it. You know, Rob Hunt, I think you can, have some fun with it, but I don't think he's, Pro Bowl consideration right away. He needs to do this for a couple of years to kind of get into that kind of consideration. But he is definitely on his way. He's one of those guys that's on his way, just not there yet. Devin Jordan, thank you for the love on the super chat. Morning, what's your thoughts on the Eric Fisher signing? Do you think they signed him because of the Armstead injury? No, they signed him because Austin Jackson is unreliable on the field, unreliable with the injury now. This is not something that's been part of his, DNA. It hasn't been like he's been injury prone or anything like that, but he has had an injury riddled season, and high ankle sprains are a pain in the ass. Sometimes they can linger forever. And I think what happened was that injury lingered. He re-aggravated it, or it led to another injury, which is what it seems like in this case. And so now it's just been one thing on top of another, and I don't blame them. And they have 4 guys on the practice squad as linemen. So 25% of your practice squad is already linemen. Austin Jackson cannot be counted on at the moment. So you know what? Unless he's 100% healthy, then you can't keep screwing around with this. So you sign like a guy like Eric Fisher. Look, he's had a bunch of injuries in his career, was retired. You look at it, and even if you look at the games played, he didn't finish some of those games too. So it's not just the games he's missed, but the games that he walked out on. But here's the thing. He's there to be a fill-in. He's there to be depth. At this point, I trust these guys. Look where you're at in the season. This is the best you can do. I mean, the Shell guy has done a phenomenal job at right tackle. To find him in the middle of the season was one hell of a find for them. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. Maybe the fact that he's been away from football, maybe that his body is fresh, maybe that you don't have to start him to take the constant pounding. That might be a plus for Eric Fisher. I don't know. I have no idea. But does it hurt? Hell no, it doesn't hurt. Because really, we all know if you can keep this offensive line together, you're going to have an opportunity to compete with anybody in the NFL. And that's the important part. So that way, when you're going up against the Boses and all these kind of guys, you find a way to block them. And by the way, this week, they lost, and it had nothing to do really with that San Francisco defense. It was all on Tua. Tua sharp, they win that game. That's all. That line actually did a pretty decent job, man. Considering the situation, they did an all right job. I commend them. So, Devin, I love the signing. It doesn't hurt at this point. And what we're going to make it sound like we know that better than them, what's left out there, what can play, what can't. No, dude. I'll take Frank. I'll take Applebaum. I'll take McDaniel's advice. If those guys are looking at it and they think Shell or Fisher or Lamb or whoever else they sign is the best that's out there, I'll go with the track record, because this offensive line has looked better than it has in years. And they just started working on it. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they've earned. All right. It is time to unleash the wolf pack.
We unleash the wolf pack. as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
All right. You're not sporting anything Philly after that big-ass signing?
Not today, but I am pumped. I love Trey Turner, so I feel good.
Yeah, but, this is what they need.
Pitching. We'll still get some arms. We'll still get some arms.
I saw that signing and I was like, good signing, but I watched the playoffs.
Right.
They need a pitcher.
They do need more pitching, but I will say the last two games they lost in the playoffs, they scored 3 or fewer runs in both games. And so they have a lot of hot bats that can hit for power, but they didn't have anybody like Trey Turner that wins with speed, contact, average, and power, and also can play defense. As we know, that Phillies defense wasn't very good. So he's going to play shortstop there, be the fastest dude on the field, and also give them the other elements. So they'll sign a few pitchers too, just not as big of a splash.
Really, they need. I think they need a couple of arms, really. Because
they'll get a couple of arms. They've got Nola and Wheeler atop the lineup, and then Ranger Suarez, and they need another starter, and then they need another 2 or 3 bullpen guys. And I think that if they do that, I feel good about them taking it back to the World Series.
Yeah. If they get the arms, they definitely got a shot, because in baseball, you can't go with the attitude of trying to outscore people. That doesn't happen, dude. You need to really learn how to pitch. Yeah. Pitching is everything in baseball on a consistent basis. It's what saves your ass. And the 2 titles that the Marlins have, it's because their pitching was just absolutely outstanding. Both those years it came through, whether it was Beckett's performance or back in '97 with Brown and Leiter and all those guys that were just, they were veterans. They were horses. You were probably a little too young in '97, right? Well, how old were you in '97?
I was 4.
Oh, God.
I do vaguely remember the 03 one, though. It was 03, right?
Yes. Yeah. You were what? You were 10, 11?
Yeah, I was 10. Yeah, 10. Yeah. That's when I started my baseball fandom, so I do remember that.
Oh, man. Anyway, it's all right. So in other words, when I started in 91, you weren't even on Earth.
Wasn't even thought of. Like, wasn't even, I don't know where I was. I don't know, whatever you believe in.
My first year, and I'm covering Don Shula, and you're nowhere to be found on Mother Earth.
Okay. No, not even conceived at that point, so yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. That year that I first started going to Dolphins camp in 91, I didn't ask Shula a question for like 4 or 5 weeks, I think it was.
Wow.
It was just like, it was this
intimidating, right?
Oh my God. And remember, I'm just a rookie, so I'm just stepping in, and the jaw and the whole history, and I grew up with the whole history and everything. So he was already intimidating as it is. Yep. So here I am, some young punk, and I walk in there, and I'm just in my mid-20s, and I see, oh my God, this is freaking Don Shula. And then I just watched how everybody handled and how they asked questions. And I said, I am not opening my mouth. Actually, I want to say it was either Dave Lamont, or I think it was Dave Lamont. I'm pretty sure it was Dave Lamont. Dave goes to me, first month, try not to even ask questions. Look at how everybody else does their job. That's exactly what I did for almost everything. I think some of the other ones I got cocky and started asking questions, but for Shula, I remember I waited like 4 or 5 weeks. because I watched him corner people like what do you mean? What are you talking about? You know, and they're like, holy shit, you got to be prepared for this guy, or if not, he's gonna bite your head off right there in front of everybody else. You know, that kind of
So let me ask you this, because obviously I never got the chance to cover Don Shula, as we've talked about my age. It was the feeling of Shula, like obviously I know Dolphins fans are gonna say he was better, right? But was the feeling of Shula similar to how people react to Belichick these days in press conferences and how the interactions were, or was it different in any way?
It was different because Shula would give you a little bit more. Shula would leave some meat on the bones.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't so closed off and just, you know, boring, short ass answers.
Gotcha.
Shula wasn't a total dick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he would at least talk to you. He would at least tell you, explain something to you or whatever. But what he hated was when you started with innuendo and you started with crap and you started with, you know, hypotheticals or stuff like that. That's the stuff he wasn't going to entertain. By the way, Jim Leland was like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim Leland was, bro, he was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And that was the worst experience I've ever had as a reporter.
Yeah. Really?
No, really. Spring training, the terrible experience. 7 a.m, I'm walking in and I have to see a shirtless Jim Leland chain smoking and drinking chocolate milkshakes at 7 a.m. Because, you know, have you ever covered baseball?
Yeah, I did for a little bit.
You ever cover spring training?
I've covered maybe like a game or two there.
Okay,
but not like a whole spring training.
Yeah, no, the beat.
Yeah. No,
you had to be there. Your press conference was in the early morning with the manager for 45 minutes.
Really?
But remember, look at the year we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So back then, you know, you were smoking all over the place.
Right.
We literally sat in a room for 45 minutes, and that son of a bitch smoked like 5 cigarettes,
right,
and drank his chocolate milkshake shirtless.
Yeah.
So it was gross to look at the old man.
Right.
And then we walked out of there smelling like we were in a cigar lounge.
Yeah.
For hours.
And you had to do it. That was the way it was, right?
That's the way it was, bro. I mean, I could sue his ass if I get cancer because that son of a bitch is secondhand smoke, bro.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was
these days that would never happen.
No,
be worried about how
Leland got in trouble. Leland got in trouble on the Marlins because he was sneaking smokes in the bench.
Gotcha.
And they caught him on camera, and he couldn't do it anymore. So he would go to the back and smoke, and that was still allowed in those days.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That was like, you know, that was the back end of that. You know, and then eventually it was like, no smoking inside the buildings and all that stuff. And that started shortly after, which is, of course, gone on now, you know, in life, that you don't smoke anywhere in any kind of building unless you're on the outside, that they have those designated areas and stuff like that. But yeah, Leland was also kind of a pain in the ass, man. But anyway.
I'm
all right. So yeah,
old school coaches these days. This is interesting.
Think about that, dude. Just being in a room trapped up for 45 minutes and the dude's just chain smoking the whole time. The whole room is full of smoke, and you're like, oh my God, bro. Oh, it's gross. Anyways, some guys go at Newport Lights or Parliaments. You know what? I don't remember his cigarettes now. You know what? I forgot the brand. I was just so grossed up by him drinking a chocolate milkshake to start the day. It's like, really?
Right. Chocolate milkshake. That's wild.
Chocolate milkshake. That's how you
First
start
of all,
your
where do
morning?
you get a chocolate milkshake at that time? Did they make it for him every morning?
Well, he's the manager, bro. He's the manager. So
I'm like, there's no place that's open. So either he makes his own at home or somebody at the stadium makes it for him.
Or you send an intern to Denny's to go get the milkshake and come right back.
I guess Denny's would be open, right? Yeah.
Right.
I was trying to think what would be open. You said 7 a.m. What would be open at that time? But maybe
Denny's
would be serving chocolate milkshakes.
Denny's in Melbourne, Florida. Wherever the Denny's in Melbourne, Florida is, because
there's got to be one. There's got to be one.
Oh, of course. Of course. It's either that or a Waffle House. One of those two have got to be somewhere there. All right. Your thoughts. I was just talking about it before you came on, the Eric Fisher signing for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably much needed depth for them. I'm actually surprised they didn't do it earlier. This is a team that we talked about it even in camp. Their tackle depth was a concern. Now they've lost Austin Jackson multiple times, and now he's on IR. Teron Armstead's banged up. So you're kind of seeing a situation now where you're playing two right tackles essentially as your starters because you had nobody else to play left tackle. And so I think that's not necessarily for Teron Armstead, because I do think he's close to coming back. I think I told you guys on this show that last week that he was telling folks that, hey, I'm aiming to play. And, the team, like you discussed, obviously protected him from himself. But McDaniel said it yesterday. He was pretty close. Like, I think if this was a playoff game, I'd imagine they would have let Teron go out there and try to play. But, you got to be smarter. And, the way they're talking this week, it seems like he's got a real chance to play against the Chargers. And so Eric Armstead isn't here to be the left tackle while Teron Armstead's hurt. He's probably there as a depth option. If something does happen in the future, then you have a guy who actually is a left tackle rather than putting, one of Brandon Shell or Greg Little
or an Austin Jackson that isn't healthy, which is what they've already run into once before, that they went and put him out there and he didn't last long because he got re-injured again. High ankle sprains, dude, are the worst, man.
Right,
I mean,
and so he's on IR, and I was
better off breaking
your foot. Yeah, and you could always come back too early, and so for Dolphins fans, Austin Jackson technically can come back. You can be elevated from IR 2 times. Now, is he worth an upgrade? The way he's played, I don't know, but the fact is that he can technically come back. As far as Eric Fisher, he's played left tackle his whole career. Outside of his rookie season, he played right tackle for the Chiefs out there. And then he's been a left tackle ever since. And so you're most likely bringing him in to be a backup left tackle. And you're saying, hey, most likely we're going to have Brandon Shell as our right tackle. Greg Little is his backup. We're going to have Teron Armstead as our left tackle. And Eric Fisher is his backup. And so now you've got 2 backups, each for the same, each for each side of the line. And that'll probably be how it flows. I mean, maybe you could try to see if he could be your backup right tackle, but I think for a guy who's played left tackle for 9 years, he's going to play left tackle if you're needed.
And by the way, they also have Kendall Lamb, who's a pure left tackle also. So now you have some depth there. Yeah, you have some depth there that you can work with. And the other thing I was talking about with Fisher, he had some injury history too.
Yeah.
And so now you're not asking him to start every game. You're not asking him to take a pounding. You're just asking him to kind of fill in. Maybe at this point, this might be the better role for him right now. And with the experience, you got to love that too at the same time.
Yeah, I think the reality of the situation is Dolphins are probably signing him with the hope that he probably doesn't play. Because if he doesn't play, that means that Teron Armstead is staying healthy the rest of the season. And you're probably having Brandon Shell healthy the rest of the season. And you're rolling with those 2 guys as your booking tackles. But as we've seen this year, Teron Armstead's had quite a few battles with injuries. And so you can't – hope is not a plan, right? And so whether it's the toe, whether it's the pec injury, whether it's something new, you have to plan as if, what do we do if something does happen to Teron again, especially as we get into these playoff-type months? Greg Little, to me, is not a feasible option. Like I wouldn't count on that. They weren't terrible this past game, but you could see how much they shifted their game plan playing without Teron Armstead. Obviously, Nick Bosa went off for 3 sacks. And so you clearly see that, hey, when Teron's not out there, it's a different offense. Let's get Eric Fisher in there. And if we have to lose Teron at some point again, we have somebody we feel a little bit more comfortable with at that spot. I'm
with you there. By the way, what do we know about Eichenberg?
I haven't heard anything. So he is eligible to return from IR, if I'm correct. And so it's based on whatever his injury timeline is. It was a knee injury. I think it was an MCL, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't considered season ending. That being said, we haven't heard anything firm, so maybe the Dolphins are being vague purposely, or he's just maybe not ready yet. But they have not, from what I understand, rolled him out fully for the season. And so there's still a chance whether, I guess if we haven't seen him this week, then probably not this week, but maybe as we get into the Buffalo game or the Packers game or the Jets game and Patriots game down the line, maybe he starts to get to where he can return to practice. They're nowhere near their limit as far as elevating players back from IR, so they can bring him back without worrying about how it affects other players. So I don't think the book's been done on Eichenberg, but just like Austin Jackson when he came back, I'm not sure that Eichenberg is assured a starting spot immediately when he's healthy and ready to return, the way you've seen kind of Rob Jones play recently. So I think that's a situation where they're going to get him healthy, try to get him fully healthy, like they thought they did with Austin Jackson, but clearly not, and then kind of see where the lineup is at that point.
All right, Cam, did you watch? I know you were on the road. Did you watch the game at all? Were you able to watch?
So maybe I'm not supposed to do this at the game, but I have another screen up, so I'm seeing like a delayed version of the Dolphins game while I'm watching the Bills-Bengals game, and so I saw it in bits and pieces. I had a really interesting game myself with the quarterback, so I wasn't all in on it, but I did see pieces of it. And I grimaced when Tua got tackled on that one where he got twisted around. To me, it was probably Tua's worst game of the season. But the reality is, I see a lot of people making a lot of takes where now they're proven right. I don't think one game should be a vindication of people who were waiting to say Tua wasn't this. They played the best defense in football, and he missed some throws.
But dude, it had nothing to do with it.
Right.
It had the loss. That's my question. That was going to be my question to you if you watched it.
Yeah.
The defense had nothing to do with the loss. Zero to do with
the loss. You talking about the 49ers or the Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 49ers.
So the 49ers,
all the receivers were open.
That is true. That is true. But I do think the pressure did have an impact.
Every throw that he missed had nothing to do with pressure except one, which was the Wilson one, which he fell.
So
actually, he's supposed to turn around. Instead, he's falling backwards.
Right.
And then the defenders are coming into the hole where he was supposed to be at. And so that's why it ends up becoming a turnover. And that one he was throwing through a window because obviously he had the guys in front of him. So that's the only one. Outside of that, every other receiver was open. And every throw was off. I have to, for once, I have to say, this game was all on Tua. If he hits those open receivers, there are no turnovers. There are no short fields for them. There are more scores. There is more possession time. There's more points. I think they win the game if Tua is sharp on Sunday. That's my take from it. I think it's very simplistic what happened on Sunday.
I don't think it's quite as simplistic. I will say this. I do think that Tua, like I said, I think he played his worst game of the season. He missed a lot of throws. And, I don't know if it was a footwork thing or, some guys are just off. Maybe it was just an off day for him. But he missed a lot of throws he should have made. And that was a big part of the loss. That being said, I also put blame on defense. You can't give up 33 points to a Brock Purdy let off.
The back end were garbage points, dude.
And
it was a one-score game with a couple minutes left, dude. It was a one-score game.
It was. But I'm still saying, you said, Tua plays better, they win. I mean, you're not playing where you got to score 35 points to beat a third-string rookie quarterback. Regardless of how he looked in the system, he did look very good. Kyle Shanahan had him flowing in the system. He was confident. But still, 33 points given up by the defense, you would have had to score 34, 35 points to win. And typically, that's a very high number for your offense to have to score.
No, but you gave away 10 of those points on turnovers and short fields and all that stuff. So they really didn't score.
That's part of the game.
They really didn't score that many points. That's that's the thing. So
they did score that many points. I mean, they scored 33. There's no way to.
They scored the 33 because Miami assisted in those 33.
Right, but that's part of football, right? There's turnovers in football, right? Just because the Dolphins.
That's what I'm saying. If Tua is sharp, there are no turnovers. That's my point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's reasonable to expect no turnovers from a quarterback every single game against this type of defense. Tua had been having a good run. He had 175, 180 straight passes without interceptions. But I watched Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Both of those teams are Super Bowl contenders, and they're turning the ball over. That it happens, right? To me, it happens. That doesn't mean that, we lost because of a turnover or two. No, you lost because Tua missed a lot of open receivers. You lost because the defense gave up 33 points. And you lost because ultimately, and this is what my point was about the pressure. Yes, there may have only been a few passes that were directly impacted by the pressure leading to poor passes, but the pressure gets into your mind. And so the fact that Nick Bosa is getting home, even on plays that you're getting rid of the ball quickly, is in your mind. The fact that you're not playing with Teron Armstead is in your mind. The fact that you know that you got to get the ball out quick. They've talked all week, 2 seconds or less, 2 seconds or less, 2 seconds or less. That's in your mind. And so that's going to impact your timing, your flow. And so that is what I was speaking to in the impact of the 49ers defense and their pressure. And Fred Warner in the middle, like he's one of the most underrated players in football. Tua had been excellent in the middle of the field. He hadn't faced a linebacker like Fred Warner, who is able to navigate the middle where those lanes that Tua's often very quick, hitting, confident, and Fred's hopping in a few of those lanes, and it makes you hesitate a little bit. It makes you throw it a little quicker or a little slower. And so I do think the 49ers defense did have an impact in that, as well as Tua's poor play. So it was more of a combo for me, but I get your perspective on why you put it all on Tua.
Oh, it's all on Tua. He hits those guys, game's over. Game's over. Everything was perfectly designed by McDaniel. Receivers were wide open. You know,
receivers were open. Receivers were open at times. Yep.
They were open. That's their weakness. They don't have great corners. What's great is their safety, not their corners.
But here's what I will say. They play a lot of zone coverage. So because of that, receivers can often appear wide open, but the way they react and the way they bait quarterbacks, they might not have been as open as it appeared. They were open on some.
Oh no, these guys were open.
For sure.
These guys were open. But I'm saying, go look at it, bro. They were open. Even the Gesicki play. Did you watch the Gesicki play at the end?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Why do you think that play failed?
I think that was to me, that's the culmination of the game. You know,
no, that was ball placement. That was ball placement. He put the ball right here.
Yeah.
And if you put the ball here, you allowed the defender to get in. If he puts the ball here, defender never gets there. He catches it or he gets interfered. One of the two. You either catch the first down or you get interfered and you get the foul and you get the first down. Everything was about ball placement for him on that day. That play, that last play was that was the perfect example of his entire day. I've seen it, man. I've watched the great quarterbacks. When they're off, and you can't do anything about it. It's just one of those things. For me,
and like I said, I don't think we're disagreeing. Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing that Tua was off. Like, I think we both know that Tua was off. I think my point is that this wasn't a situation where, everything else was good and Tua being off cost you the game. To me, there was a lot more elements, like I said, with the defense and with the Dolphins defense and the 49ers defense that also caused the reason why they lost. It's a combination to me instead of just all on Tua. That's the only.
What happens with this defense is going to happen every week. I think we've got and I think you've got that disease with some of our Dolphin fans. You guys got to get unprogrammed already. This is not a great defense. They're not shutting people down. They're not shutting anybody down. They're going to give up points. They're going to give up plays. They're going to give up yards. What they'll do is they'll find a way to make some plays at the end and make some plays occasionally to kind of keep you in the game. Yes. But if the offense doesn't bail you out, this team isn't going anywhere. The problem is that Dolphin fans and Dolphin reporters have been covering a team for 25 years that they all look to the defense to bail you out. True. That's changed now. This isn't a defense with all the injuries they have in the secondary. This will never bail you out. It's all about the offense bailing you out, and Tua in the offense and the passing game could not bail you out on Sunday.
So I'll say this. I remember early in the season, Mike McDaniel had said that, he told the team that this is the defense's led team until proven otherwise. I think at this stage of the season, we can say that it's been proven otherwise. And so at this point, I do think that it's an offense-led team, as you were saying. That being said, I think it's a part of a couple of reasons, right? This injuries obviously have a factor in it, but also, as much as Dolphins fans may not want to hear it, this scheme is different. It feels different. They've not been as effective as they were when Brian Flores was leading the defense last year as they are this year.
No, Doc, come on, bro. It's because you don't have Byron Jones, you don't have Brandon Jones, you don't have Nick Needham.
Yes, that's a part of it. But a part of
No,
it is
that's all of
also
it.
no, it's not all of it. It is not all of it. It is not all of it, though. And like I said, you can't look at stuff just in the colorful lens. This team is in a better spot with Mike McDaniel as a head coach, but this defense has been in a worse spot without Brian Flores as their leader of their defense.
Oh, no, I completely disagree with that. That has nothing to do with it. It has to
then.
do with talent that's not on the field. You can no longer play your
That is
defense.
a big part of it. It's not the whole story.
All of it. No, Cam, that's all of it. Because if you don't have the secondary that can hold up, the front seven can't pressure the same way. Now
everybody has it.
Now the front seven can't do the same thing because the secondary now has to play zone and has to mix things up. They cannot go island on island because they don't have a healthy X, and Byron is nowhere to be found.
I do not disagree, but my thing is, name me a defense in the league that has been healthy all year. Injuries to me are not a mea culpa for everything. Injuries happen. Yes, they've been big injuries, right? But they haven't had Byron Jones all season. This isn't something like it just popped up last week. You have to adjust, right? And they've had opportunities to go get their corner, but they've told us time and time again, we're confident with our group. We're confident in our corners. We're confident in our safety. And so if you're confident in that, you can't use it as an excuse for why the defense is not the same. So that's why I say it's a part of it, but it is not the whole story.
What could you have fixed? What was out there that was going to really correct everything?
I will just say that the scheme is not exactly the same as it was last year. And there are some elements that could be.
But how do you replace Byron Jones, dude? How do you replace Brandon Jones?
You adjust. You adjust.
No. Come on, dude.
You adjust. That's coaching. That's going through the scheme.
Man. You're going to ask Eric Rowe, who can only cover tight ends, never been really good against receivers and running backs. All of a sudden now he's got to do some more of that, which puts him at a disadvantage, puts Boyer at a disadvantage because he's got to use him. You're not going to expect the same thing out of Eric Rowe filling in for Brandon Jones, who's a better cover guy now at this point, and a blitzer, run support. And you saw this week when the quarterback was held by Sealer, he needed somebody to help him. Eric Rowe was like, Brandon Jones would have knocked his pecker in his sock, and he would have put that quarterback back 3 more yards. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's an enormous difference on what's going on with this team when you don't have a secondary that can allow the front seven to do what they need to do. This has changed everything, and I don't blame Boyer for this. In fact, I commend Boyer for being able to kind of hang in there with that defense and keep it serviceable. I think he's done an excellent job overcoming a crap ton of injuries that have changed the face of his team.
So I'm not playing the blame game. I'm not saying Boyer's the reason here and there. I'm just giving you the reality. Like I said, I'm not here every week, but I have a pretty good pulse of what's going on with the team. I have a pretty good pulse of what's going on in the locker room, the defensive side of the locker room. And I'm telling you that, yes, I do not disagree with you. Brandon Jones' injury was very big. Not having Byron Jones is something they did not plan for. These are things that did have an impact. Nick Needham as well. These are things that have an impact on their defense. Absolutely. But it is not the whole story. The whole story is not written on this team got injured, and that's why the defense is not the same as it was the second half of the season. Part of, not the whole story. That's all I will say.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. Can you slam the idiots out there taking shots at Deion Sanders for leaving Jackson State? It sucks that he leaves Jackson State, but one man isn't going to be able to elevate an entire conference. And I've never seen somebody who's trying to better themselves, better other human beings that are on his staff and their families. I don't understand how we criticize anyone for bettering themselves. And yesterday I said this, the caveat. I got a little racial. If you're in the black community, there's a part of you that can be a little frustrated and all that because you're doing a lot for HBCUs, and I get it. But on the other side, if you're white, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up, okay? These are human beings that have worked their asses off, have put themselves in positions to better themselves. And that's what Deion is doing. I commend him for doing this, because he's got to do what's right for his career and especially his assistant coaches, who are also going to get paid now a lot more money by going, to Colorado. We are bad people in society when we're trying to stop others from getting better. We should be celebrating and congratulating them that they have done things to better themselves. That's the way I look at it overall. But you go ahead, because I'm more interested from your point of view.
Yeah, so this one's a tough one for me, and I actually haven't said anything about it at all because I've been trying to process this. First of all, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, so that's my hometown. So I have a personal connection with it. I was ecstatic when Deion was there for HBCUs because that's a big passion of mine, and lifting up HBCUs. I've done a lot in the HBCU as far as coverage, and so I would have loved if Deion Sanders was making his imprint to be there for years and years to come. But that was not the case. And I do not blame Deion for leaving. I understand we all would leave for opportunities that are better for us financially, better for us resource-wise, better for us growth-wise. And so the whole narrative of him being a sellout, I do not agree with. Now, here's what I will say. A lot of the conversation, like you were alluding to, about Deion Sanders is a lot of people saying, I told you so. I told you he was going to leave the HBCUs. I told you he wasn't about this. I told you. And I think people need to realize, and I've done a lot of work on this. I brought this picture. I was down there at his pro day talking with him in March. I know Deion personally. And so I can tell you the impact he had on that city, he had on the university, he had on HBCUs has been immense. He's added so much money. They've got sponsorships because of him. They got new facilities because of him. That program and city have been risen because of him. And so the challenge they have now is keeping that up. Do media companies, do us as reporters, us as society, do we still care about HBCUs when there isn't a Deion Sanders there leading it? That's the thing that I'm worried about from an HBCU perspective.
And what's going to happen.
But honestly, that is not the responsibility of Deion. Deion wasn't, it's unfair to say he has to stay at HBCUs forever to keep the attention on him. That's on us as a society to care that, he's put the attention on it. We should care. This is why. And now that he's gone, we should still care. Now he's going on to Colorado. I think he's going to do big things there on a program that's been broken. And I do think that a lot of the narratives, particularly like you said, for white folk, has been, oh, well, he left, he left to go to the bigger school, showing you that HBCUs really weren't all. I hate that narrative because him leaving should not be an indictment on HBCUs. And it also should not be an indictment on him choosing a white university over HBCUs.
And again, he's not going to be able to lift an entire conference.
Right. And he did a great job.
He's only going to be able to lift one school to become a monster inside that conference. Look, I'll give you a great example. At least I think it is.
Yep.
Eddie Robinson is a much better coach than Deion ever will be. And Eddie Robinson spent his whole life at Grambling when he easily could have gone to a big-time school, because Eddie Robinson is one of the 5 greatest college football coaches ever. But he'll never get that real credit because he was at Grambling. But we all know that if he went to Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, whatever, he would have been, the John Thompson of college football. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So and Eddie, to his credit, he stayed there and he helped a crap ton of players and human beings become better people and all of that. And it's satisfying for him personally. But in the big picture, it's not the same thing of moving on to a bigger program and then making that kind of an impact on the football field. And so Eddie Robinson was kind of cheated out of, college football immortality. I will know about it because I'm a student of the game. So I appreciate what Eddie did. But you know how it is. In general, nobody's going to talk about Eddie Robinson, dude. They're just not. They're going to.
I think it depends on the community, right? We talk about Eddie Robinson a lot in the Black community. We talk about it a lot in the HBCU circles. You're talking about it in the national spectrum. Right. And to be honest, that's my point. I think that national audience puts out what the consumers, what it thinks, one, and what its bosses think, but also what it thinks the consumer wants. And so it's up to the bosses, the media companies, to continue to care. Like Deion showed you that 5-star and 4-star prospects will come to HBCUs if you recruit the right way. That you can bring a college game day to Jackson, Mississippi, and bring the energy there, the electricity there, and that it'll happen. And that people care and will watch the bands and everything that comes with the culture of HBCU football. Now, that being said, are these people just here for Deion because they know he's a great personality and he's a Hall of Fame player? Or are these people really care about the growth and progress of seeing these black players develop into the league? Because right now, I am really worried about that. And so that's the
and you know the answer to that.
And so I hope my feelings are wrong, because the reality of it is there was a point in time where HBCU football was the biggest pipeline to the NFL. There are actually 10% of the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame comes from historically black colleges and universities. And so people don't realize
that. By the way, that started back in the AFL days in the 60s.
Yep, absolutely.
When they went to the black colleges because the NFL would refuse to go to
maybe the best player to ever play in this league, Jerry Rice. You can have your arguments either way. Went to HBCU.
Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah, Mississippi Valley State. And so there is a history of HBCUs leading to NFL greatness. And what Deion and a lot of these former players are trying to do is resurrect that. Now, people argue he left before he fully did that, but how long would that have taken? And so I don't blame one guy. The issue now is continuing the renaissance as the coaches in HBCU ranks, us as consumers, and people who decide what goes on television.
But you and I know that the HBCUs don't have the budget to go hire the coaches and the assistant coaches that it's going to take in order to lift that. It took a Deion Sanders to go take a hell of a lot less money and bring his name there and his brand there in order to lift their brand. Mm-hmm. And that and like Deion's, there's very few, dude.
That is true.
You can bring a coach, but you can't bring a brand. Very few of them have a brand. And that was what was special about Deion Sanders, is that he is a brand. So immediately he brings attention to you no matter what goes on. And that was the blessing for Jackson State.
I think his message is still valid in that these schools, these programs have to be lifted up, and we need everyone's help to do it. And so, like I said, Deion's not going to be there anymore, but Eddie George is still there. You still have, Hugh Jackson, not a former player, but Hugh Jackson is there until this. There are still big name NFL names who are on that spectrum. And in the same token, like I said, when we're deciding what to put on TV, if we're deciding, hey, what's going on ESPN Plus or NFL Plus or ESPN2 or some of these other channels, it's not going to compete with Alabama, Georgia. We already know that. But it can compete with Kent State Marshall. It can compete with, Western Kentucky versus Eastern Kentucky. A lot of times I see these programs putting these small school games up and they get 10 times the coverage these HBCUs do with 10 times less culture. And so to me, those are the decisions that help bring more money and resources into these programs.
By the way, somebody's asking, Big O, can you ask Cam if he knows when Tua hurt his ankle? Was it against Houston or the Niners? Rappaport reported Tua hurt his ankle. That's all he reported. I'm sure it was against the Niners when he got.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was against the Niners.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. Dougie Fresh says, Wolf is bringing it here. What makes HBCUs sustainable and viable is a collection of people and businesses working in tandem. Deion really set the stage. Others need to add to a verse to the play.
Yeah, man. I think, you hit it on point. Like it's a group effort. Like Deion did a lot of the heavy lifting, like you said, because of his brand. But it doesn't mean that people can't continue to train. There won't be another Deion. Like that, there's not going to be a replacement. Jackson State's going to hire somebody else. He won't be Deion. He won't bring that attention. That doesn't mean that they can't, maybe not at the same loudness, but they can't sustain the growth that he had there. I think that we have in our mindset that only, one person can lift this HBCU community back to where it was. I think it's like Dougie Fresh is saying, it's a community effort. Deion did a lot of the heavy lifting, the starting, and the hope is that the renaissance continues, but it's not just on the coaches, it's on us, it's on the media people, which is why I've said that like 5 times.
All right, now one thing now, and I've got to be fair, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The good comes with it, the bad comes with it now, and I don't know if there will be, but we're going to find out, because most of us, let's be honest, we're not watching Jackson State games from beginning to end. We're not watching how he calls games and what happens and how he handles the clock and the substitutions and everything else. The one thing Deion will now have that he did not have and he was able to hide away, and I don't know, again, how good of a coach he is, game day, in-game coaching, all those kind of things, now will be scrutinized like never before, because he is now in a Power 5. He is now going to get that national attention. He's now going to be on the national spotlight. So while there's great stuff for him personally and his staff, he is now going to have a different kind of magnifying glass on him, because now he's going to have all those Buffalo fans looking at everything that he does, and he will be judged now. Now is where he's going to be judged as a coach. He was judged more as a guy building a program and building a brand and all that for Jackson State. Now the coaching part will be really put under the microscope.
I think one thing that people don't realize in this Deion Sanders conversation is that Jackson State did just as much for Deion as Deion did for Jackson State, which people may not, like in their prism, they may not do that, think about that. But the reality is Deion had been trying to get in the college coaching spectrum for years. And a lot of people were pointing to his failures and building a high school program in Texas. And he hadn't had the successful start to his coaching genre. And so Jackson State gave him a platform with a type of football, HBCU football, that allowed him to really maximize his growth. So he amplified Jackson State and HBCUs, but they also amplified him because they were waiting for someone to have his personality and cachet there. And so we don't know how great of a coach he is. The reality is we don't. He recruited coaches there because of who he is, just like he recruited players there. And he's already building a rock star staff. I saw some reports that he's bringing Willie Taggart with him. He's bringing the Kent State head coach who's stepping down to become his offensive coordinator. There were some rumblings about Mike Zimmer there potentially becoming his defensive coordinator. So he's building an all-star coaching staff. And the thing
Mike Zimmer's going to be there?
It's not
Mike
official.
Zimmer?
Not official, but there were some rumblings.
Did you see Mike Zimmer? Did you see Mike Zimmer's girlfriend, by the way?
I did. and so
I'm a Mike Zimmer fan, bro. If that dude who's like 102 can get that's impressive, dude. I mean, that's impressive. Okay.
And so I guess my point here, and I gotta run in a second.
Sorry, I had to digress on that one. Sorry, I apologize.
I will no comment that, but I have seen her. I have seen his girl. I will say that like the challenge is definitely going to be on him, because there are people, just like people we're talking about Tua. There are people who are waiting for Deion to fail. They hate that there's this black man who came into coaching and kind of fresh, and all of a sudden he's become the face of coaching. What they feel like is overnight, right? And so there are people who are waiting for him to fail. That being said, I think that he has a good platform. I think he knows his strengths and weaknesses. I think that he knows he's not a Mike McDaniel style coach where he's going to be in the room scheming up, the hottest offensive plays. And I think he knows that. Like, maybe he won't ever tell you that, but I think he knows that in his heart of hearts, which is why he surrounds himself with people who excel in that part of it. What makes Deion special, and it's really a great fit for college, which is why I think he'll never go to the NFL, is that he is maybe the best recruiting coach in college football. And that is the most important thing in college football. You get the talent there, and he's also a great motivator. People call him out about some of the videos where he's talking to CU players and telling them you got to hop in the portal, that type of stuff. He's being real with these dudes.
What the hell do you think Mario's doing?
He's being real with these dudes. Like, I have zero problem.
Mario's doing in Coral Gables. Give me.
I have zero problem. I have zero problem with this because look, there's a lot of sugarcoating coaches here who tell you one thing to make you feel good and then will cut you or get rid of you or not play you in the same spectrum. Me as a player, maybe I just like it real. I like it hard. Tell me I suck, and I can decide that either I'm going to get better or I'm going to go somewhere that thinks that I don't suck. That's just the way I look at it. So I think that, him being real and motivating his players, like even at Jackson State, they were 10-0 sometimes, and he was calling them out in the locker room for their cockiness or them being on the phone. And so those are the elements that I think Deion excels in: his motivation skills, his recruiting skills, and his ability to find and identify talent both as players and coaches. And so I don't know that he's ever going to be this great schemer, but the great thing about being a head coach, particularly in college football, is you don't have to delegate. And so I think that, of course, you're going to have a lot of people looking at him at CU and saying, hey, if he doesn't win this many games and it was a failure. But I do think that the things that make college football teams great, he has. And I do think that if Colorado can be turned around, which I'm not sure, but if they can be turned around, I think that he's got a good chance to do it.
John Lynch, Steve Kerr, Jeff Saturday. It's a thing, dude.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So get over it.
And with Jackson State, with his 3 years at Jackson State, he's got more experience than all the guys you named before they got their big job.
Right, exactly. So, it is what it is. All right, follow him on Twitter. Thanks for the extended talk, because I thought we had to tackle that subject. I thought it's something that's important.
All good. I'll give you some extra time. No worries at all.
Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf. Catch his exceptional work there at the NFL Network. And enjoy your day off from the rest of the day on. Go ahead.
All right, see you.
Appreciate you. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
All right. Good discussion there, as always, with Cam. And I wish Deion nothing but the best, man. Considering everybody's, not considering the people that are just, I don't know what it is about just wanting to hate. I don't know what that is about that. Why would you want the guy to fail? Why would you want to pick on the guy to better himself and his coaches who are getting paid crap? Because Jackson State doesn't have a budget, man. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? And by the way, Deion Sanders is also going to give a lot of young men an opportunity to go to Colorado and play for him. Now, is he going to be a good coach or not? I don't know. But I do know this. He means well. He started off at Jackson State where he didn't have anything. And he helped build them up and help improve their resources. So he means well. It's kind of like watching what goes on with what's it called, with Mr. Diaz, with the whole UM thing and the NILs and everything else. And it's just one of those deals where, like, I don't understand. The guy is willing to work and help kids out at UM, at FIU, at Florida, at Florida State. There are kids all over the state that are getting NIL deals. And, it's like there's all this hate for this guy. And wait a minute, hold on a second, dude. He's got his millions, billions, whatever the hell it is. Whatever he chooses to do with it, he can go hang out in the Caribbean and just do nothing and give nothing to anybody. But he's a big UM fan, so he's willing to either build a stadium or help a lot of these kids out. And yet there's all this hate for this guy. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, well, he's trying to help people out. What's wrong with that? What is your problem with that? I don't understand that one. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing when people are like going out of their way to want you to fail. Why? Knight, by the way, he's asking me, and thank you for the super chat. You think Connor and Sealer have a shot at the Pro Bowl? I say no. Connor just moved over to center. He'll have to earn it, and Sealer's not known enough. He's known more for us. Love both guys. I think they've done an excellent job for the Dolphins. I've admired Connor's switch over to center. Obviously, Zach Sealer's a complete and total badass. We all know that, but not enough people around the league know him to get him into the Pro Bowl. So I think there is zero chance either guy will be in the Pro Bowl. Devin Jordan, Big O, reports are Baker Mayfield will be claimed by the Niners. I heard Shanahan say that he was happy with what he has, but whatever. Are you really worried about Baker Mayfield? Because I am not. I don't really care where he goes. That part doesn't matter to me. Ohio John, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says a lot of people have made the transfer portal out to be kids just jumping ship when things get tough, but many times it's coaches telling the players they don't fit and are better off elsewhere. Yeah, of course. Opportunities. That's what it's all about. Well, let's talk about a man that's going to be covering a lot of portal action. That's right. A lot of portal action. And that is Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
There he is, locked and loaded and ready to go. Is there a ticket taker for the portal, in and out and all that? How do they handle that stuff? Is it in the metaverse?
Yeah, I wish there was. I wish we all just got alerted on our phone the moment that popped in. There is an actual database or whatever that our Max Olson over at The Athletic spends all day literally watching as names pop in there one by one. He keeps hitting the refresh
We should
button.
talk to Decentraland or Gala. These are crypto companies, by the way. I know you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but the metaverse is something enormous, right? Facebook, It's called Meta now. And so these meta games are going to be all over the place, dude. You're going to have people meeting each other at meta bars. So instead of a chat, they'll be like, people that are physically talking to each other in their lookalikes and all that kind of stuff. You're going to have classes. You're going to have businesses, retail stores, all kinds of things. People will be shopping, meeting, discussing business in the metaverse. All right. One person might be in France. Another person might be in the United States. Some person might be in Little Havana. Another person might be in Kendall. It doesn't matter. But they'll all be in the metaverse working and dealing with each other and all that kind of stuff. I say we create a visual metaverse in the a portal in the metaverse where we watch them come in, and then they come in a UM uniform, and then they walk out with a Jackson State uniform, or they walk in with Auburn and walk out with Miami. That
right.
Cool.
That would be very cool. It sounds like a good movie. If you can get some graphic guys involved, we can visualize it. We can make it happen now in today's era. Look, there's a lot of names in there, man. I don't know. I was right before I got on the show with you, I was going to look up to see what the numbers updated to. I think it's closing in on 1,000 already today, as far as the amount of names that are in there just in the past that are officially in there anyway.
How many of those kids already know where they're going? And how many of those kids have
I would say the upper crust, no. I would say the top 2%, top 1%, because they, through back channels, a lot of them probably already had conversations with the coaching staffs behind the scenes, through an intermediary to avoid the tampering rules. But yeah, I mean, I would tend to think that the best of the best have a good idea of where they're going, and the ones that don't have narrowed it down. They're going to take official visits. those kind of things, and see the campus and visit with the coaches and make a decision. So, and the other thing I would say is this is probably going to be a slow drip. Everybody keeps asking me, why hasn't Miami already added guys, right? There's guys in the transfer portal and this and that. I go, a lot of this is, them breaking down and really getting all the information they need on the guys who are in there. Because there are new guys in there that they're not necessarily aware of. Not everybody calls the University of Miami and says, hey, I'm entering the transfer portal. And so you have a very busy transfer portal department right now. Mario Cristobal got himself ready for that. He had obviously Alonzo Highsmith and some other guys that he hired to be prepared for this moment. And but I think it's a lot of work behind the scenes to know what's going to happen. That's why it's a 45-day window, this early period. And in the middle of that window, is the 3-day signing period for the high school recruits. So you're kind of juggling scholarship numbers, and then you're juggling, where do I need instant impact? Where do I need guys that I don't have to develop because they've already played college football? So it'll be a very interesting juggling act for every college football coach now that we have these set windows, between the transfer portal period and then the high school signing period, and then the next high school signing period in February, followed by the next transfer portal period at the end of spring football. So it's going to be free agency. It's going to be looking at what you have, looking at what you missed out on in recruiting, and then saying, okay, how do we address that?
So, how does Ruiz work in all of this? Because I was just talking about that, how it's funny to me how, you watch the whole Deion thing and you got people that are wanting him to like fail practically. And it's like,
yeah.
And I see Ruiz deal with this shit all the time. It's like, bro, it's not your money. What do you give a shit? Like, what do you care that he's helping a kid at FIU or at Miami or at Florida State or Florida and helping him with an NIL? He's helping these kids grow up. He's helping them deal with real life situations like earning money and paying taxes and representing a company. So they've got to they have response. It's like he's giving them opportunity. Why would you hate that? That's the part that I always trip out on. Like, why would you be so negative about these kind of things?
Right.
So how does Ruiz play? Because he's obviously plays an active role in a lot of this stuff that goes on. But how does the communication go about all of that? What the team is trying to do, what Ruiz is trying to accomplish? How does that bridge get gapped?
Well, first of all, I think that's the major flaw in college football right now.
How does that gap get bridged? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
First.
Well, what I was going to say is just I think that's the major flaw in this whole system right now for college football, because you're supposed to separate church and state here based on the way the rules are written, right? That you're not allowed to have boosters paying guys for the recruiting department. It's supposed to be, you don't sign those NIL deals until after you pick the university, etc. So to me, it's ass backwards. At some point here, the NCAA or whoever's in charge, whether it's somebody else who takes power of college football, that ultimately these guys have to have a clear-cut connection where they can work not head-to-head, but work with the school, because a lot of it has to be through back channels, right? Through individuals, through the 7-on-7 coaches, through the high school coaches, through whoever. And so to me, it's kind of stupid, because it's obvious now that all of these guys are going to make some form of money. And Ruiz, if you're Miami, you're thankful that you have Ruiz. And there's also another collective that most people don't know about, that's kind of working behind the scenes as well. It's not just Ruiz. There are other people. Ruiz is just the most vocal because he has his company and he wants to promote it. But, Miami's fortunate in the sense that they do have people that want to help them financially to get these kids to come here, to get them, get them paid. Unfortunately, in college football, we've been used to the way things have been run for 150 years, where we call those guys cheaters, right? Because you paid for this guy and that was against the rules. Well, in the last 2 or 3 years now, we have to change our mindset and say, no, this is legit. This is the way it's supposed to be run. So to me, I think the next step is have college football change the rules, allow there to be a role for a GM like Alonzo Highsmith, where he has X amount of budget based on whatever money he gets, and he's able to distribute that money so that you don't have this sort of weird, okay, this is who you guys want. Okay, thanks for telling me. I'm going to go offer this kid now, and tell him when he gets to Miami, you'll sign this deal. So it's very unique. It's very weird. I think in the next couple of years, it'll be fixed.
All right. They've been able to convert a couple of guys here in the last couple of weeks. How's this class looks like it's getting stronger? Actually, is that true?
Yeah, I mean, they've been a top 10 class. It's just a matter of whether or not they're number 8, they're number 9, they're number 10, whatever. I mean, they're in the top 10. 22 commitments. They were flipped. They just recently flipped a defensive lineman, Joshua Horton from North Carolina. He was part of their class, and 6'5", 290, very productive kid. Over 100 tackles his senior season for a defensive lineman. That's obviously a lot. It's a guy who's very good against the run, and it's going to help because you just lost a big body in Daryl Jackson, who decided to enter the transfer portal. He's probably headed back to Florida State. He was a 12-game starter for Miami this year, so it was good to pick up another big body defensive tackle. Miami has to get more of those guys. Mario's made that the emphasis. They also picked up a linebacker out of Georgia, 3-star kid who was uncommitted, track guy, really fast, big bodied, 6'3", I think 215. His name's Marcelius Pulliam out of Tyrone, Georgia. So another 3-star, a guy not necessarily highly ranked, but a hungry football player who has size and speed, which is what ultimately you want here. I care less and less about the star system every single year. I keep telling people, if he's not a top
side, you're coming to my side after all these decades.
Yes. I said if he's not a top 100 kid, I'm not worried about what he's ranked. Don't tell me, because he's number 296, he's better than the 800th guy. I think every year there's a clear-cut top 100. If the guy's in the top 100, he's special. If he's outside of that, it's his work ethic and what you can get out of him and the way the coaches can develop him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I don't get too excited about the star stuff until I actually see them on the field. I've just watched way too many over the years come in with all this hype and,
disasters.
And it's just disasters, and they just never live up to anything that you're saying. And to me, Tate Martell is like one of the more beautiful examples over the last couple of years, a guy that had a 4 or 5-star ranking, and you're like, so he fooled Ohio State and Miami? I mean, that's the kind of shit that just kind of drives you crazy.
Well, part of this too is, a lot of these kids have a ton of high school success, right? I mean, they like Tate Martell was part of a program at Bishop Gorman that had a bunch of kids, that went to colleges, have gone pro, and so you kind of get blinded by
them physically throw the ball,
right? But that's the problem. I think, and I made a tour around Broward County last week. I visited a bunch of high school coaches. I've talked to them all the time just to kind of see what's going on. And one of the questions I've asked them is, how many of these, college coaches come to you completely unprepared, right? The assistants, when they come visit your school, they don't even know who the recruits are. They're kind of like, what offers does this kid have? And I would say the majority of them, I would say there's maybe 15 to 20% of these guys that actually do real homework, their own film study. And I got to tell you, a lot of them haven't coached for the University of Miami for the last 20 years. So you want to explain why there's been disasters at Miami? I think a lot of it has been based on the conversations I've had here in the last week of guys being completely unprepared and not really doing their homework because they're busy coaching. That's why, to me, college football has always run on this premise that it's an amateur sport. The reality is, you need more professionals in the building. You need more personnel to handle all the responsibilities. Like, how many people are in the Dolphins building working, drafting, scouting? I mean, that's in the hundreds, right? I mean, the amount of people involved in that process, and that's for what, 7 rounds of the draft and potential free
agency,
right? But you sign 25 high school players every year. I mean,
right.
That's a lot more work. And then now you add the portal to it. I mean, you could be shifting 40 bodies between the end of last season and this season, up to 40 different guys potentially here for Miami. And you have 8 people working on that project? That's a lot of response. That's a lot of film study. That's a lot of review. And so that's why you have the mistakes, I think, at the college level. And look, you still have it at the pro level, but I just think it's a lot harder in college to get a real grasp of the talent if you don't do your homework. And that's what's happened at Miami for a long time.
All right. Walk us through this, because some of us weren't necessarily happy with all the assistant coaches, especially one, Josh Gaddis. There has been no movement. Coaches are being hired. Deion Sanders is hiring a staff. Others are being hired around the around the country. Is Mario telling us by now there will be no coaching changes?
I don't think so at all. I think we're still what we need to understand about Mario, okay, and we went through it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of this is dependent on where other guys can leave on their own accord versus being fired. Okay? You don't want your new head coach with all that money, the most expensive staff, to just be firing guys after one season, because in a sense he's admitting he's made a bunch of mistakes, right? I made a bunch of mistakes. I took all my sweet time interviewing these guys, and look at the disaster that happened. So I think this is much more about, hey, can you find another job? Can you go out there so that we don't have to go through this process? And that takes time because, look, there's still jobs that are open, right? I mean, Louisville, Scott Satterfield just left for Cincinnati. The Louisville job is open now. That's going to continue to happen here. We're still going to have more job openings and coordinators leaving and this guy going here. So the coaching carousel is still very early in the process. I don't think we're going to get any movement on the Miami front until after you get through signing day, which is, last week of December, pretty much.
All right. What else you got going on the Athletic so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, we got a ton of stuff, man. I mean, we're putting out our freshman All-American team. I've been working on that project. We just put out a bunch of grades for all of the Power 5 teams, kind of a review. So if you want to go back and just look at where Miami ranks, no, I did not give them a good grade for this past season, but I did participate in a lot of the ACC rankings. And look, transfer portal, there's a ton of transfer portal news. There's a ton of recruiting news. Miami just lost Jalen Knighton, the running back, just went into the transfer portal literally about 20 minutes before you and I went on air here together. So that's constantly updating. There's 12 guys gone now, so I'm keeping track of all of that stuff. There will be more write-ups here in the weeks ahead. I'm trying to head out to some of these high school state championships over the next 2 weeks, talk to coaches, talk to players. So I will be up and about and everywhere and keeping my eyes on the transfer portal as well.
And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro so you can find out first when he's breaking news, and subscribe to The Athletic so you can get exceptional coverage of your Miami Hurricanes. Manny, as always, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you immensely.
All right, brother. Take care.
You got it. We'll catch up on Friday with Manny. Don't forget Caneswear. Go to caneswear.com. You order over $99, you will get free shipping. They have practically anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. They got some really cool items, from sneakers and sandals to stuff you want to hang around the bar, and posters and hats and shirts and everything, man. You name it, I'm telling you. They practically have anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. It's pretty cool. And they've got Dolphins stuff, so if you want to get some Dolphins gear, they've got Heat gear. They've got Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami. Go check it out, man. Caneswear.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CS, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right, we're back. Okay. You see stuff come across the wire, and then you go, is it important? No, it's not. Oh, by the way, I'd be remiss if I did not say R.I.P. to Christy Alley. I saw that yesterday. She apparently had a short battle with cancer. Is there any way we can eliminate this cancer shit already? Any shot? I almost feel like somebody has the cure and they're just keeping it away just to make money off of everybody that suffers from it. Jesus Christ, can we figure out this cancer thing? It affects every one of us, man, one way or another. But Christy Alley, unfortunately, had a short battle with it, and she lost it and passed away at the age of 71. Apparently, that's what happened with Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac. She also had a short illness, but I don't know if it was cancer, and she did not survive. But Christy Alley, obviously, you know, from movies, but obviously what made her where she bursted onto the scene was on Cheers. And I remember as a hardcore Cheers fan, when Shelley Long left and Christy Alley took over, it was like one of those things like, damn, dude, I don't, you didn't want to see that. You don't want to lose a character. But I got to tell you something. She did an awesome job. She was funny. She was perfect and she was different than Shelley Long. You know what I mean? Shelley, obviously, like a lot of people, when they leave TV shows early, it's because they're off to become movie stars and things like that. And that happens on a lot of TV shows, that some people leave because, it's their time or whatever. And so she felt it was her time. And still, I got to say, when she did Night Shift and she had that scene where she was in the kitchen, and I was like, Shelley Long. Okay. I was like, so that's what it looks like under all those clothes. Wow. That kind of stuff. But Christy, I got to say, she was, rest in peace. She was awesome. Her physical comedy, how she went back and forth with Ted Danson. It was good. It was good. I love Cheers. I don't know about some of you out there, but I'm an enormous Cheers fan. That's just one of those shows, like Seinfeld or Friends or, many, many shows over the years that I've watched, that they're just classic comedies. And if you run into it, you will stop. Not that we do a lot of channel surfing left. I can still do a little channel surfing on YouTube Live. I have YouTube Live, so that's what's left. Although they do have some channel surfing for you on Amazon, because they do have some live programming also on Amazon, but it's not, it's not this incredible, selection or anything like that. But yeah, is what it is. But I have to say, Christy Alley, rest in peace, and you were fantastic. And I wasn't I was kind of frustrated early on when Shelley Long was gone, but she took over and she was excellent, man. Rest in peace. 71, you wish you had a little bit more time. That's for sure. Let's see. Big O on Wolf's comment about adjusting to injuries. You should have asked him if the Bills were to lose Allen, all he had to do was adjust and they would be the same Bills. Yeah, no, I we can disagree on that. You just don't cover up Byron Jones and Brandon Jones and Nick Needham. You just don't cover that up. Hell, you can't even cover up X right now because he's not himself. It's not like the real X you're watching out there. You can tell. Shane says, Big O, you're dead wrong. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Oh, yeah, whatever, bro. Sure. Okay. Ask Mark Ingram that yesterday for the Saints. How'd that work out? So the Saints lose, or did Mark Ingram's dumbass lose the game for him? How do you want to look at it? You tell me. Did you watch Sammy Smith against the Oilers fumble twice into the end zone decades ago? How'd that work out? Who won it, sir? Who lost it? You tell me. Sometimes it does come down to one person. Sure, you want to go with the cliche. You win as a team, you lose as a team. That's fantastic, sir. Go ahead, live off of cliches. I'll live off of reality. Okay? They lost because Tua had a shit day. That's it. No, I'm not giving anybody a break here just because I'm the biggest Tua backer in the media, okay? That doesn't stop me from being objective about it. Tua was not Tua. And if Tua is Tua, the game's over. They win. I'm sorry if you can't handle the truth. You and I are going to disagree on that. But I could come up with endless amounts of examples of players that cost you a game. In fact, if I open it up to the chat line, I'm sure shit ton of examples would come up of, yeah, no, this guy lost the game for us. This guy lost the game for us. That guy lost the game for us. It happens to every team in the history of time. You win as a team, you lose as a team. That's a beautiful cliche. But sometimes you won because of one guy or you lost because of one guy. And if you don't have Tua in that 3-game losing streak, what do you think? You probably lost because he was out. You would have won either all 3 or let's say 2 out of 3 because of one guy, sir. So how did that go with win as a team and lose as a team? I disagree. Completely disagree on that. But that's all right. That's sports. My issue with Cristobal is that he seems to have refused to change his game plan to fit his players historically. That is the opposite of what good coaches do. I hope it works. Carlos, you're 1,000% right. Mario Cristobal and his offensive staff did a shit job this year. There's no other way to phrase it. And I'm a huge Mario Cristobal guy, just like I'm a huge Tua guy. But if you screw up, we got to say you screwed up. And this year, Mario's coaching was terrible. Terrible. And I hope it improves next year. And the beauty of next year and the year after, the excuses are out the door. Your players are here. So you have your coaches, your schemes. You better have recruited the right players to fit. Don't tell me after they don't fit. Those are your players. And you're going to have a ton of players leave in the portal. And you had several come in last year. Now you'll have a ton come in this year. And you'll have a ton more next year. All your players will pretty much be dominating the program. No more excuses. I don't want to hear that these people were from another scheme or another coach or any of that shit. But there's no defending Mario Cristobal this year. Zero. I want him to be here for the next 40 years. Okay? I want Mario to grow old in a Canes sideline. All right? I do. But I will say this. This year was unacceptable. And he better never have another season like this again. How about that? D Wolverines 305. Buenos dias, Big O. It's nuts how everyone is on this man for one game, from media to fans, but yet you have Baker being tossed around the league. Relax. Yeah. Let's see. Big O, have you seen White Lotus? What's the hype about it? I don't know what White Lotus is. Well, I remember the White Lotus in For Your Eyes Only. I remember that White Lotus. And when he goes to save the girl that is putting an arrow in the dude that was diving in the pool, then they go to their White Lotus, and right when they're about to get it, some guy hits it, and the whole thing blows up, and the White Lotus is gone. What a shame. So that's my White Lotus story, sir. I have to admit, back in those days, I really liked that car. I thought the Lotus was a pretty cool car. Wasn't it like a, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly, wasn't the Lotus like a 4-cylinder twin turbo? Or was it a 6-cylinder twin turbo? Look it up for me there. Somebody tell me on the chat board. What was the Lotus? It was a twin turbo, I remember. But maybe it was a 4-cylinder. I don't know why I'm thinking 4-cylinder twin turbo. It was kind of an interesting engine. Never drove one of those. But I got to say, the look of it, I love the old Lotus. I don't even know how they look now, actually. Is Lotus still around? I don't even know if I've ever seen a Lotus again on the streets. Now that I think about it, God, have I seen a Lotus lately in the last 5, 10 years, 15 years? Had to, right? Has to be some. What else do we have? Tua's worst game this season was still better than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow, but the media not going to say that. Well, I think there's only 2 quarterbacks this year that have thrown 2 touchdowns against San Francisco, Mahomes and Tua. Fresh Aloha says, yes, Tua had a terrible day, period. But this isn't boxing or MMA, which is one-on-one sport. Tua needs his starting tackles in the field to give him time. The team is a sport. He had tackles, Fresh Aloha. Go watch the game, bro. Go watch the game. The throws he missed had nothing to do with pressure. He was off. Okay? The throws the receivers could not get to, they were completely open. The only guy that was close to being covered was Gesicki at the end, and he still could have placed it in a better spot where the defender couldn't catch it like he always does. So disagree with you, sir. Completely disagree with you there. The tackles had nothing to do with it. The offensive line did a good job overall. They gave him the time he needed to make the throws. As I said throughout the game, the plays were there to be made. Tua didn't make them. I'm sorry if some of you out there aren't willing to admit it, but I love the kid, want him to succeed, didn't play well. Lenny says, totally right, Big O. We lost because Tua was off. There's nothing wrong with being objective and stating the facts. It's the reason why I've been listening to you since way back, because you keep it 100. You got to do it. That's it. And Tua's got to look in the mirror going, what the hell was that? How do I miss all those throws? That's not who I am. That's it. Dougie Fresh says, have to admit that Coach was the best Cheers character. Coach answers the phone. Hello? Coach asks the bar, hey, is there somebody named Ernie here? Sam replies, that's you, Coach. Coach was great. And when they added Woody, because that's where Woody Harrelson also burst onto the scene, right, for us, that was another great addition to it because Woody was a terrific character. Carlos says the Lotus Esprit Turbo was a nice-looking ride for sure. Lotus was a 4-cylinder. Incline really? So it was an inline, I'm sorry. So it was like the 280ZX. The 280ZX was an inline a 6-cylinder inline engine. So the Lotus was a 4-cylinder twin-turbo inline. Did not know that. Let me tell you something. That 280ZX engine, that inline 6, one of the greatest engines in the history of mankind. That's all I got to tell you. That's it. Okay? The Volkswagen Bug, one of the greatest engines in the history of mankind. I'm talking about these are some of the best engines ever that you could beat the shit out of them and find a way to still run. And they would run forever. Okay? It was like Nike when years ago, I want to say very, very late 70s, early 80s, they came out with a sole called the gum sole or something like that. And those sons of bitches lasted forever. They never made them again. I'm on to you, Nike. I'm on to you. I'm on to you. You built the best shoe possible and you made it disappear. Volkswagen said, we got to kill this engine. It lives forever. They won't buy anymore. Datsun said, no more inline 6. That engine lives forever. They won't buy any more of our cars. I'm on to you guys. I'm on to you, Nike. I remember that shoe. Played basketball on it every damn day. You're like, wow, these shoes last forever. Let me go back to the athlete shoe. Go buy another pair. Oh, no, they discontinued. Son of a... Go back 6 months later. Hey, is the gum sole back? No. Hey, year later. Hey, is the gum sole back? No. All right, give me some Dr. J's. Is the gum sole back? No. All right, give me some Dr. J's. Give me some ponies. Lost out on that gum sole. I'm on to you, Nike. I'm on to you. Nelson. Yes, I'm sorry. Ruiz, not Diaz. I said Ruiz with Manny. I said Diaz before. I caught myself after. Big O, I think Tua is the top 3 pure passer in the league. What do you think? I say Rodgers, Brady in no particular order, and Mahomes. Yeah, no, I think he was definitely he's one of the 3 best passers in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try much. You weren't going to run anything. They were number 1 on defense. That's another thing. That's mental masturbation, bro. All right, 2 hours down. We got 1 more to go. Sean Stanley, of course, is mastering this program because he is a master. That's it. That's what it's all about. He's a master. Line up them comments here on the chat board. You got any questions? I got some stuff I want to get into also. Got to get into a couple things. Got some football stuff, some Dolphins stuff. Got the Heat in action. Got all kinds of things going on. Let's take a quick break. Hour number 3 is next. Well, I wonder what's going on there. No hour number 3? What the hell is going on? What happened? Where's Sean at? Give it to me. Hour number 3 is next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right. Folks, can we stop? Can we stop? Enough already. Enough already. Tua's not worried about their tackles. I just saw this. Who was this? Who was this? What was it? Oh God, whatever. Some guy here says, Cigar Social. However, I feel Tua may have been concerned with his left tackle and right tackle. Possibly the nerves got to him. This is a guy that played with Jesse Davis and Austin Jackson. SoCal did the same thing to me on Twitter. Okay? Love SoCal, love Cigar Social. You know I love you guys to death. All right? This effing guy, and I'm talking about Tua, is not afraid of anything. You can't do to him anything that Castro has not done already. So Cigar Social tweets back to me about, where is it here? You know, he sends me a tweet of some other guy. Well, he might have been worried about his left tackle. He might have been thinking about it. The guy's played with no offensive line. He now has a line. Something. From the left guard to the right tackle, he was fine. It was just one guy. Brandon Shell was back to right tackle, and he did a decent job. Go look at the game. He wasn't pressured on those throws that he missed. None of them. The only one was the Wilson one that he still threw it through the window where Wilson was supposed to be, but unfortunately Wilson falls instead of turning around because I guess he didn't read the pressure the same way. So he wanted to run another route, and he ends up getting tripped up, and then it turns up into a turnover. But overall, all the receivers were open. He was clear to throw the ball. He played with Brian Flores, who hated him. He played with a line that couldn't block for 2 years. For Christ's sake, he plays with broken ribs and a broken knuckle. You're going to think he's afraid? I'm afraid. If I bust my hip like he did, there's no effing way I'm getting back into an NFL game. That mother effer is back 10 months later. Tua's the toughest, most fearless son of a bitch out there. Tua crushes all of these narratives. This is the guy that gets his head clocked in Buffalo in the first half and comes back and beats their ass in the second half. There is not 1 ounce of fear in Tua Tagovailoa. 0. He was fearless playing with a shitty coaching staff and no offensive line and no running game and no quarterbacks coach, no offensive coordinators, and he was fearless. So the guy that puts his shoulder into somebody you think is afraid? Come on, man. Tua doesn't get nervous because of this. This is the guy that comes off the bench in the national championship game with ice in his veins and wins it. This is a guy that hits 4th and 7 and 3rd and 22. This guy, I get it. It's the size, right? That's what it is. He's not 6'5", so he must be scared. He's not 6'5", so he's got to be fragile. He's 6'5". He's not 6'5", so, that there he is. He's going to be nervous. You guys got to stop this. You got to stop this. All the examples are He's one of the toughest son of a bitches you'll ever see. You think he really needed to sit out for 2 weeks with that concussion? He would have been back the following week. Ethan Carter might be out for the year with the concussion, but it doesn't affect Tua the same way. Everybody's different. This guy, oh, I busted my ankles. Oh, wait a minute. Let's wire them with titanium so it doesn't happen again. Who the f thinks about that? You know anybody else that does that, by the way? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. Please tell me the guy that wires his ankles with titanium so he can continue to play. Where is the fear? I mean, I'm just like, for 2 years, I got to be here defending this young man and defending all of this stuff that people come up with. He can't throw. He's lazy, not tough enough, can't handle tough coaching. And now he was afraid and nervous about his tackles. Brother, he wouldn't be nervous if my sorry ass was out there blocking. Well, maybe he would. I mean, come on, man. Afraid? That's not in Tua's vocabulary. That's not in Tua's understanding. That's not in his mantra. That's not his modus operandi. It's not who he is. It's not what he stands for. Everything that's told you about him is that he's my Yorkie. He's my Yorkie, that he is fearless, dude. Absolutely fearless. Zero nervousness in that guy. He was off. He had a bad day like you have, like I have, like we all have. Every one of us goes through it. That's all that happened on Sunday. It was a bad day. He was trying. I'm telling you he wasn't nervous. He was just trying way too hard to get a victory for his head coach against his former team. That's it. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't look into it too much. Guys were open. He hits all of those throws every single time. Deadly accurate. Just off that day. That's it. Don't look at it in anything else. He'll be fine. You're going to get a pissed off Tua this week. You're going to get a focused Tua this week. You're going to get a Tua that is going to be deadly accurate. He is going to be so motivated to redeem himself that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him this week. I can't wait for Sunday night. Sunday night can't get here fast enough. Why? Because I'm the polar opposite of some of you out there. I have total faith in this kid. I have total faith that he'll turn it around. I have total faith that what I saw on Sunday was a complete aberration, because what I've watched the rest of the year is who he is. It's what he was at Alabama. What I saw on Sunday is what I never see from Tua Tagovailoa. So then I'm going to chalk it up to a one-timer. It's over. Next week or this Sunday, I'm going to see the Tua that I've been spoiled with this season. Watch. He'll be fine. But afraid, nervous, he's been in way bigger moments. One game, that's all it took. Weak fan base. Drago, Big O, I think Tua was so hyped to win for his coach that he was overthrowing his players. He needs to calm down. He tried, and that's why he started short hopping, balls. He was just off. Exactly. That's it. Squeezing that ball too tight, letting it go too early, letting it go too late. He just was off. That's all. Nothing wrong with that, dude. He's not the first quarterback that's had off days. By the way, he's not the first quarterback that throws the ball short, not the first quarterback that overthrows somebody, not the first quarterback that has a bad play, but apparently he is. Because apparently, that's why I had fun showing other quarterbacks underthrowing and all that, because everybody, I saw Brady yesterday underthrow a guy. I didn't want to put it out there because I think we've hammered that one already. But it's like it only happens to Tua. That's kind of the way it gets phrased, Yeah, no, he got nervous. What made you think he was nervous? Did you look at him? Did he look nervous? He didn't look nervous to me. He looked pissed. That's what he looked like to me. He looked like he was pissed that he was not sharp, and he was hard on himself like he normally is. And I love that about him. You'll see. He'll be fine this week. 100% fine. Titans fired their GM just now. Really? Wow. Okay. Big O, happy Tua has learned to throw the ball away when we needed to, but now he must learn how to take a sack to protect his legs. Brady and Montana were great at going down and curling up like a baby. Man, it's luck of the draw. Look what happened to Jimmy Garoppolo. He got a foot into his, was it a foot or whatever that Jalen Phillips or a knee maybe into his foot as he was getting tackled, then he broke his foot and he's out. Here's the hilarious part. So Tua's missed a couple games every year, right? How many games has Jimmy Garoppolo missed? He's going to miss now the rest of the year, right? What's left? 5 games? So he's missing 5 games. That's almost the total of what Tua's missed in his entire career. I think he's missed like 6 or 7, I think it is. Maybe 7. So, and really, he would have missed 1 less if it wasn't for the idiot coach who thought he could win with Brissett and really could have played the week before. Not just the Baltimore game, but the week before. And, it is what it is. But that's morons running the team. But overall, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those deals. Like, people make it, again, a Tua thing. Oh, well, no, he's a sack. He's always injured. He's always at what? Yeah, dude, it's 3 years. He's missed 7 games. It's not that bad. Relax. There are other people that miss a lot more, actually. Take it easy. Let's not exaggerate like Tua is missing, 6-7 games every year or something like that. That's not the case. So let's chill out here. But again, when we talk about Tua, we treat him differently than some of you treat him differently than everybody else. It's the weirdest thing, man. It really is. It's the weirdest thing. Oh, man. Alethea up 37%. I wonder why it just shot up like that. Damn it. Bitcoin still holding solid in the 17s, man. Pretty amazing. You see that Brazil is now it's a legal tender. It's going to become legal tender now in Brazil. And now the London is about to kick in the cryptocurrency regulations. So that's going to grow there. Africa now is in the process of making it legal tender in that country, in that entire continent, practically, except for there's one country that's eating shit. I forgot which one it was. But most of that country is going to use it as legal tender. And so now, like in a lot of places, like in El Salvador, that it was always the dollar, it's Bitcoin and the dollar now. And in Brazil, Bitcoin is going to be their legal tender. An enormous country like Brazil this is going to explode, dude. Explode. When Bitcoin takes off on the next bull run, these kind of prices you will never, ever see again in your lifetime. In nobody's lifetime, it will never happen, because the next time it rockets, It's going to go to numbers that they've never seen before, and any kind of, contraction or comeback, it's going to be a fraction of it. It's not going to be the kind of dips that we've had in the past. Why? Because as I've been telling you for, a year and a half, as mass adoption takes over, and that's going to happen over the entire world, that's when that thing's going to skyrocket into the hundreds of thousands. So it's the inevitable. Can't be reprinted. You can't split it. There's only 21 million coins. 19.2 million coins have already been mined. So you've got less than 2 million. You got about 1.7 something coins left to mine. They will be mined over the next, I think it's about 10 years, right? It's about to maybe a little bit more. I think maybe to 2040, I think it'll be the last ones that will be mined. And then it's done. And the scarcity and everything that goes to it, it's only a matter of time. But that's all right. That's all right. In a couple of years, you'll say, hey, you weren't that crazy. Rub-a-dub-dub, a man in the tub. I feel like the linebackers are being underestimated for San Francisco. I watched some of the film. Looks like he was putting it in a little high because of Warner and other linebackers seem to be in his lanes over the middle. He drops those all the time. That has nothing to do with it whatsoever. He drops it behind linebackers all the time, dude. All the time. You're making shit up. Thanks for the super chat. You're making shit up. Every throw he missed, he makes blindfolded. You're just making shit up. You're just not willing to admit that the man had a bad day. That's all. There were times that at the end of a game, we were like, wow, Marino played like shit. It's hard to win when Marino plays like shit. We said that. Okay? And you just chalked it up like, dude, Wade was off tonight. What are we going to do, man? Wade shot 3 of 17. He couldn't hit the basket. It's just one of those nights. It bounced off, bounced this way, that way. Couldn't do it. We didn't win. That happens, man. Yeah, it's a team game, all that crap you want to say and all that, but when your star is the reason why the drink tastes good, because that's the straw that stirs it all, it affects the outcome of the game. And if that guy is off, you're not going to play well. And you've watched Tom Brady for the Bucs be off. There have been games in the last couple of years, including this season and last season when they had a slow start also, that there were games where Brady was bad, dude. He was missing people. And you're like, oh, Tom's off today. Chalk it up. And I'm not saying Tua's Tom, but Tua is just like any other great player that's a key component to your team. If that key component is off, you're not going to have success that day. There's a good chance you're going to lose. That's all. It had nothing to do with any linebacker positioned or any pass rush or had anything to do with Joey Bosa. Just look at the games. The receivers were open. Those are throws he makes all the time. I'm not sure why it's so hard to understand it was an off game and make 87 excuses that have nothing to do with it. Go watch it. Watch it again. Watch it again. You'll see. Players are open. And those are throws that you can go back and watch the entire year. He makes harder throws than that. Those were easy throws that he missed for him. Hard for Ryan Tannehill. Easy for Tua Tagovailoa. Because he's a badass passer. But on Sunday, he wasn't. NFL screwed the Dolphins by having them play the Bills on a short week, back-to-back road games. My brother, it's TV that calls it. That's part of the game. Other teams have to do it. They just took a week off in week 11. Was their bye week, right? Week 10 or 11 was their bye week, right? Suck it up, bro. Play the game. Get it done. They didn't screw anybody. It's an honor to play on a Saturday night or a Sunday night or a Monday night or a Thursday night. For years, the Dolphins were not sexy. For years, all you guys do is complain that you don't get any primetime games. And you know why you don't get any primetime games? Because our beloved Miami Dolphins have been a pathetic embarrassment. They don't deserve to be on national television because they're an embarrassment. Now that they're an ass-kicking team, they're fun. They're one of the best offenses in the NFL. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. People want to watch them now. So be honored. Those players need to be honored. Go out there and show it. And everybody was complaining about the first 4 weeks of the year, and they got through it. If it wasn't for Tua's injury, they might have gone 4-0. Find a way to get it done. I don't care about any of that stuff. You know, that's all. That's loser talk. That's the game they signed up for. Go get it done, man. That's all. Is Jeff Wilson hurt? I don't think so. I don't think so. I haven't heard of him being hurt at all, my man. I agree. Had a bad day, says Rub-a-Dub-Dub, but Warner got a hand on one of the throws on the second dive and seemed to throw him off the rest of the brother. I mean, if that's what makes you sleep at night, then go ahead, dude. You know, go ahead, my brother. If that's what helps you sleep at night. A guy that's deadly accurate all the time and was inaccurate one day, and it had to do what was Fred Warner involved in every off throw? No, I don't think so. Marino would play poorly. Marino played poorly several times throughout his career. There were 10, 12, 14 of those games in his 17-year career that you just said, yeah, Dan doesn't have it today. That's all. You can be honest. He had a bad day. I always go with my gut, and my gut is telling me Tua's going to light it up Sunday against Pick 6 Herbert. I'm with you there. The 49ers took away the middle of the field except for a couple of throws. Great game plan by the Niners. Tua only threw 4 times in the middle of the field. He was just inaccurate. Doesn't matter whether if it's the middle of the field or outside. It doesn't matter. He just was not accurate. There were throws where, you know, that Tyreek one, what did it have to do anything with the defense? Zero. It was just completely off, and it ends up being a turnover. Had nothing to do with it. He was just completely off. Bad day. It's an honor to play in prime time, but I'm pissed because apparently PBC isn't in the Dolphin market, so no local coverage. Pissed I can't watch the Dolphins game at home in Boca. Wow. That's kind of weak, right? That the West Palm Beach market isn't included. Is that out of the 75-mile range? I don't think so, right? If you're allowed in the blackout area, then why should you be then blacked out? I don't know. Or maybe you're not in the blackout area. Do you guys get a game if it's not blacked, if it's blacked out? Do you guys still get the game? If you do, then that's probably why. So you can't have it both ways. So if Miami Fort Lauderdale get blacked out because the game isn't sold out, but you get the game, then that's probably why. Again, I don't know. I don't live in Palm Beach. So I'm not exactly sure. Okay. So you're going to have to fill me in on that. Now, games are no longer blacked out. They're all on television. But I'm just wondering if back in the day when there were blackouts, would you guys get the games in West Palm Beach? And if you do, that's probably why. So if you're getting it for the bad moments, then, well, the other ones you're not going to get then, I guess. David says, Marino, 49ers in 85, 21 of 50, 318, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. Tua versus the Niners, 18 of 33, 295, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. Final score in 85, Miami 16, San Francisco 38. Score 2022, Miami 17, San Francisco 33. Crazy. Off day, man. That's all it is. Off day. Off day. All right. I think you can get an NFL Plus subscription and watch any game. I'm not 100% sure, though. I don't think they get blackout anymore. No, I know that now, but I'm saying then, when we were blacked out for Dade and Broward, okay? Remember those days that it happened a couple times where the games was blacked out? Were the Palm Beach people watching the game is what I'm asking back in those days. So that's my point, that if when we had the blackout times, if they were still enjoying the game and Dade and Broward wasn't, then that's the reason why you've been excluded from the get-go. And so now you got to understand why you're also excluded from it at the same time. That's all. I'll say what everybody else says. Apparently you get something called a Fire Stick. You can watch it, right? Supposedly. So Fire Stick away, I guess. Whatever that is. Enjoy the Fire Stick. I think you can get an NFL. Oh, wait a minute. It could be that the cable company he has does not get the channel. As an example, my brother does not have Fox, so he could not watch the game this week, even though he lives in Miami. How does he not have Fox? That's weird. Okay. That's odd. He doesn't have Fox. Armstead back for the Chargers game. How is Waddle's injury? I will be at the game in LA excited. It looks like Armstead's going to play, by the way. The coach talked about it, how he's expecting Armstead to get some work in during the week, and he feels optimistic that he'll play in the upcoming game. And usually the coach doesn't give you that much. And when he says that, that's good. That Armstead's going to play. So that'll bring some balance to the team on the line. I love it. And it's good news to hear. The signing of Eric Fisher does not hurt. Maybe he can help out. Maybe he can't. I don't know. But at this point, look, I'm going to trust them. He was retired. It looked like he was done, right? So something about it, he must have gotten still some itch to want to play. Plus, he's been away from the game a little bit now, so it's allowed his body to completely heal. You don't need to beat him up on an every down basis. Although with the luck Miami's had this year, oh my God, it seems like he's pretty much going to end up playing pretty quickly because Miami doesn't have any. Can we just get some luck? Can we watch the Dolphins not lose people anymore? They've had more than enough injuries for 2 seasons now. Okay. How about no injuries the rest of the way and no injuries next year too? Huh? How about that? Enough of the injuries. Like, I'm tired of watching the Dolphins suffer injuries. But the Eric Fisher signing was fantastic in that sense that you might as well try. You might as well add depth. You added Kendall Lamb. So I like the fact that you've added a lot of depth. I don't know if Austin Jackson comes back or not, and I'm not worried right now. I got to be honest. Austin Jackson looks like a fantastic young man, but he has played poorly throughout his career. He was showing some signs of life in this training camp and preseason, but now he has had a habitual injury the entire year that has set him back. So unfortunately, all we know about Austin Jackson right now is that he's unreliable in the regular season. He's unreliable as a player, and unfortunately his body has failed him this year, and he's become unreliable physically. Sucks. Absolutely sucks. But it's not really a loss because he hasn't proven to be a positive yet. And that's the part that sucks. Like somebody was telling me, well, we were without Armstead and Jackson, our starting tackles. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Your starting tackle is Brandon Shell, not Austin Jackson. Brendan Shell has outplayed Austin Jackson by miles by his entire career. Austin Jackson has never played this consistently at any position for the Miami Dolphins. So he is not a loss. Until further statement, he's not a loss. Just the way it is. So hopefully Kendall Lamb can help out, and now Eric Fisher can help out. So you've got some depth now at left tackle behind Teron Armstead. I just hope you don't need him. Official statement from the Titans. Since becoming controlling owner in 2015, my goal has been to raise the standard for what is expected in all facets of the organization. I believe we have made significant progress both on and off the field through investments in leadership, personnel, and new ideas. The progress includes the core of the business, the football team itself, which is regularly evaluated both by results, wins and losses, and team construction and roster building. I am proud of what we have accomplished in my 8 seasons of ownership, but I believe there is more to be done and higher aspirations to be met. I want to thank John for his dedicated work to set this organization on an upward trajectory, and I wish him and his family the best. Amy Adams Strunk, owner of the Titans. All right. There you go. By the way, Barry Jackson's reporting that CBS has acquired the rights to simulcast the NFL's network Saturday night game, December 17th, Dolphins-Bills coverage in Miami and Fort Lauderdale markets. NFL Network is in 53 million homes nationwide, 122 million homes, TV homes. If you live outside of Dade and Broward and don't have NFL Network, go to a sports bar. So now you know. NFL Network will have it in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale markets. Okay? All right? Barry Jackson working it, as always. What else do we have? Ask Big O, are they still there? What are we talking about here? Big O, who should we want to lose? Bills or Jets this week? You always want the Bills to lose. Like I said this last week, the Jets and the Patriots are not a threat. Okay? The Dolphins are better than both. Dolphins only lost to the Jets because they had a bunch of backup quarterbacks in there, and the Jets took advantage of it. If Tua's playing, they handle the Jets. I respect the Jets defense. They have some players on offense. Obviously, the Breece Hall injury was enormous, but they still have some nice players. I don't buy Zach. I don't buy White. Okay? Sorry. Don't buy him. But whatever, it's fine. As the season goes on, he'll get more and more, exposed. And he didn't play as well this week than last week. He had 2 interceptions this week, and it'll just compound itself. And Mike White will eventually, whatever. I get it. He's a local kid and all that, but Zach Wilson's just been a disaster for them, and the Patriots are no threat. Like on Thursday when the Bills and the Patriots were playing, I told people you want to root for the Patriots because the Patriots aren't a threat. So it doesn't matter if they win. It doesn't matter if the Jets win. They're not a threat. You're going to take care of them. But the Bills are your main competition, and that's the team you want to lose. Now, should they lose to the Jets or the Patriots? No. That's the way I look at it. So take down the threat. And that ain't the Patriots or the Jets. Morocco up 1 on Spain in penalties. Nice. Dolphins will beat the Chargers, and it'll come down to the Bills game. Reminds me of the Marino years. Big O, does every fan base over worry about each and every small detail and add drama like Finns fans do? Yes. Yes, Brett. They do this in every fan base. Every fan base has their nutbags. Every fan base has their people that overreact. Every fan base has their people that jump ship right away for any little thing. Yes, every fan base has it. Every one of them. Morocco up 2-0 on Spain. España going down. So Saints give up the 16-3 lead. I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the game. I got to be honest. I had no interest in watching that game last night. Zero. But I saw the Mark Ingram play. He goes out of bounds. Apparently he's injured too, and he's a bit beside himself. It opens it all up for Brady. And they come back and win it with that 6-6 record. What a joke. Heat lose to the Grizzlies last night, 101-93. Bam! Back to being non-aggressive Bam. Way to go, Bam. 13 shots, 5 of 13. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. You know, a guy like Bam, and by the way, it wasn't foul trouble or anything, should not have 5 rebounds. I'm just saying. And 13 shots. What happened to aggressive Bam? And yesterday, Lowry played well, did not shoot well, 3 of 8, but he did have 7 rebounds and 6 assists. So it's hard to ask the old man to do more. Butler had 18 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, but he did have 5 turnovers. So that sucked. And Caleb Martin went 4 of 8 from 3-point range. It's funny. I think it was Ira or somebody that he's like second in the league in power forwards and 3-point shots. But you look at Caleb and I have a hard time looking at him as a power forward. It's just a weird league, man. Tonight, by the way, they take on Detroit at whatever that arena is called now, right? Used to be the FTX Arena. What's it called? The Heat's House or Heat Live Arena, or am I going with FLA Live? Am I mixing it up? I don't know. I know they're calling it something with the Heat. Panthers tonight. They're taking on the Jets. 8 o'clock at the Canada Life Center. So we'll see what the 12-9-4 Panthers do against the 15-7-1 Winnipeg Jets. Crazy stuff. Speaking of crazy, Nike has canceled someone. Yeah, baby. It is time. Let's get to it. Yes, sir. The crazy man has been canceled. Once again, Kanye West has been canceled from everything. Life, music, you name it. Nike. I'm sorry, Kanye West. Kyrie Irving. It's the other crazy guy. I'm sorry. The other anti-Semite. I'm sorry. It's either anti-Semite, whichever one. But Kyrie Irving also being canceled all over the place. No longer a Nike athlete. Irving, whose future with the retail giant was in question after they suspended him tweeting about a controversial anti-Semitic film, has cut ties with the NBA, according to Shams Charania. And Nike put its relationship with Kai on ice November 4th, suspending Irving despite satisfying the team in the league with his apology, or half-ass apology, as well as other steps. The swoosh indicated their relationship with Irving was probably done after this suspension. Well, Phil Knight told CNBC, co-founder and chairman of the manufacturing conglomerate, said Irving's relationship with the company is likely over. Kyrie stepped over the line. It's kind of that simple. He made some statements that we just can't abide by, and that's why we ended the relationship. I was fine with that. And by the way, everybody should be fine with parting ways with Kanye or Kyrie. I can't get, you know what? I can't decipher between the two. Both idiots, both anti-Semites, both disgusting individuals. So nice job by Nike. Took you a little too long, by the way, Nike. You know, it's kind of what was it? What was the other one that he said? It was Kanye also, right? But what did he say? Was it Nike or Reebok or who was it that was his sponsor? And he said, I can make anti-Semitic comments and Reebok or Nike or whatever won't cancel me. And sure enough, within an hour or two of that statement, he was canceled. And they waited too long also to cancel him. That's the part I don't understand. And I get it because you're thinking about all the money you're making with the Yeezys and all that stuff. A lot of people have been burning their Yeezys and getting rid of their Yeezys and donating them and all kinds of stuff. Talk about a couple guys that have just, ruined their lives. Karen says, I can't I can't decipher between Kanye, Kyrie, and Antonio Brown. Yeah. Well, we can throw Trump in there too. Hard to decipher all of them. Although we can't put Antonio Brown did back up Kanye, didn't he? So we could throw him in the anti-Semite there circle. We can do that. Yeah, Nike judging people is kind of funny when they've got 4-year-olds making their shoes in China. No, you're right about that. You are right. Well, you want to, by the way, and that is your KSDT Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
All right. So you want another crazy story? Well, let's step into the business report. There are some really dirty organizations in this world, right? And one of them, of course, is FIFA. And as you're seeing, they're hosting the World Cup in Qatar. So there are other dirty organizations in this world. And when the World Cup is over, Qatar now has set its sights on something else. The 2036 Summer Olympics. The Middle Eastern nation now wants to host the Olympics in Qatar. In preparation for the World Cup, FIFA gave Qatar the opportunity to host it. They built 7 new stadiums. The country spent about $229 billion on those stadiums, new subway system and other infrastructure in preparation for the World Cup. Qatar hosted the Asian Games, an Olympic-like competition in 2006, and will do again in 2030. Qatar is hosting and has raised numerous issues. Chief among them is the treatment of migrant workers who provided the main construction for the stadium. The Guardian reported that at least 6,500 migrant workers died since the country was awarded the World Cup, per the ESPN documentary Qatar's World Cup. The government has avoided compensating their families by attributing the deaths to natural causes. Now, Qatar recently raised its estimate of migrant workers' deaths from 40 to 400 to 500. Qatar, by the way, has also drawn attention for its struggles to accommodate over 1 million World Cup tourists and its treatment of LGBTQ people and journalists. By the way, the country's competition for the Summer Games will take place in Paris in 2024, Los Angeles in 2028, and Brisbane in 2032. But the Olympic Committee is as dirty as they get, just like FIFA. You can buy them. So if Qatar is willing to spend all those billions of dollars to build all those stadiums and everything else, what's a couple of million for each of the people on the Olympic Committee? Nothing. A drop in the well. So Qatar probably will have a chance to do that, no matter how they treat people. Speaking of Nike. Yeah. So that's some crazy stuff, dude. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. The cancel culture phenomenon is something. What happened to the days where you could say whatever was on your mind with no repercussions at all? Well, that's changed because we're not allowing you to spew hate. And so you can't say we're going DEFCON on Jewish people. No, we're not doing that. And so, yeah, there's some responsibility that has to come with your actions. And, jokes are jokes. If we have comedians taking shots at all kinds of cultures, that's funny. We can laugh at our own. We can laugh at, the stereotypes of ourselves and others and all those kind of things. And we can have fun with it, right? But that's in the context of a comedian. But when you want to spew hate, like let's just say yesterday in New York, 2 Jewish members were shot with a BB gun, and it was a hate crime. And why? Because they're Jewish. And it's something that it's a problem that we've been having in Brooklyn now for a while. I don't live there, but I keep up with the news all over the place. And, we can't have people just go into LGBT, places and just shoot people up because they don't agree with their, sexual choices. And so the problem is in this world, we have fueled hate. And when you have leaders that associate themselves with hate and fuel it, you have people who are stupid enough and ignorant enough to think that that's a green light for them to exercise their hate. So, Pat in Asheville, there has to be a repercussion for those people who are irresponsibly spewing hate about the Black community, about the Jewish community, about LGBTQ, Asians, the groups that we talk about all the time that are getting attacked. Like those 3 dudes that had that the black guy that just went by their neighborhood and I think they killed him actually. I think those animals actually killed the man. Why? Because he was black? You're going to beat somebody up because they're Asian? You're going to blame them for COVID? Why? Because an Asian's here, that's their fault? No, dude. And so then if you open up that hate, Pat, and you allow people to spew it and exercise it and all that, there's a difference between, the right to free speech and then, inciting violence. And that's basically what you're doing. And so we have certain groups that are suffering right now. And we've got to protect the Black community, the Jewish community, the Asian community, the LGBT community. These groups are being attacked for no reason at all, for who they are. We can't allow that, man. That's just wrong on every level. That's it. So that's how we got to do it. Wow, lots of infrastructure and money spent. Would be awesome if they spent it and didn't get crap. Karma is a B. I'm sorry, Big O. It wasn't Kyrie you wanted with Durant. It was Ben Simmons who would I would take Durant. I would trade for him in a second. I've talked about that in the past. And what I said about Ben Simmons was not that I wanted him. I said that one of the few teams that could maybe fix him is this team. That's what I said. Not that I want him, but I'm just saying, if there's a coaching staff, a front office, a culture that can maybe get it out of Ben Simmons, which I don't know because I don't know if really the dude, has him strapped on the right way. But it would be the Heat is one of the few teams that I would trust to try to get the best out of the kid and make him what he could be. You know what I'm saying? So I never said that I wanted him. And I always preface that when I said this, hey, I'm not saying I want him. I'm just saying that if there's a team that could take him and possibly make him back to being a player, it would be the Heat. They're the team that I will trust that can mold somebody back and get their confidence back and all those kind of things. Injuries are injuries. You can't fix that. You could try to bring somebody back with injuries, but if their bodies don't, you've got no control over that. But I've seen players lose their confidence, not be the same player, come here and find their mojo again. Keon Dooling, Eric Murdoch, Isaac Austin. It's so many guys that have come here and kind of straightened out their lives and gone back on track and then go out and go get a contract from somewhere else. And that's been kind of the norm here. You're James Johnson and you're a journeyman. You come here and you play your best basketball. You're Whiteside. You come here and you play your best basketball. And you have all kinds of faults in you, but they got the max out of you. And they've done that with players for so many years. And they'll play better here than they will anywhere else. Let's see what else. Just kidding, Big O. I am just shocked at how shocked some celebs are when they get canceled out of saying something ridiculous. Yeah. Well, there is part of the cancel culture. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm with you there. That part I will agree with you. It's the hate part that no, man. No, we're not going to have freedom of speech for you to just say, oh, no, I can't stand this group of people or that group of people because of this, and they don't deserve this, or they don't. No, dude, that we can't do. But the cancel culture stuff is there. Big O, big favor, your second favorite season of Marino years besides 84, trying to find on YouTube. God, I'd have to go back. What have to... I gotta go look at it, but I want to say, like, was it the 89 season? I gotta look at the stats and see, but I want to say it's the 89 season. Let me go to I'll go to the Pro Football Reference real quick and cheat. Let me see here. No, 88 season. I'm sorry. That's what it was. 88 season. I would say that was one where, by the way, the record wasn't that good, but he threw a bunch of touchdowns and yards and all that kind of stuff. You can go back and look at 92 also. That's another great season for him too. 92 was a really, really good season overall. It was a different game then, man. God, it was a different game. You know that Marino went over 60% in completion only once, twice, 3 times a lady, 4, 5 times in his career. Different game. Different game in those days. Different game. Now you got to be over 65% to be elite. Completely different game it was in those days. But yeah, those are some that you would look at. What else do we have? Try Miami at Denver, September 85, and Miami at the Jets, September 86 for Marino's excitement. Both games on YouTube. That's the beauty of YouTube, man. You can find so much out there. Absolutely so much. What else do we have here? Baker Mayfield getting released. I got to tell you something. You got to watch out whoever signs him. 1, he doesn't carry his weight. 2, does he come in with any kind of an attitude? And I'll tell you something. If you don't have a strong quarterback room, I don't think this is the guy you want to bring in. He needs to be seriously humbled and probably be out in the street for the rest of the year and then maybe go to some kind of camp next year where he's battling for a backup spot. And I say this because the only team that I think should sign Baker Mayfield is a team that is worried about depth and they're super secure with their starter. Okay? You know, you're Aaron Rodgers. Okay, sign him. Because he's not taking Aaron Rodgers' job. But if he gets injured, and I know their season doesn't mean jack, but there's no debate there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that would be the right move for any team. I'm not saying that that team should pick him up. I'm just saying you need to sign him to a quarterback room that he's walking in knowing I got no shot at starting. So I need to leave the attitude at the door, right? But if you have a questionable starter or a guy that could be up and down or whatever, you don't want the media gravitating to Baker and then he's running his mouth. Okay? Hey, no, I'm just waiting for my chance or whatever. He doesn't even have to be controversial for it to be controversial. Hey, Baker, do you think you should start? Hey, no, man, I'm just working hard and just waiting for my opportunity. And while the other quarterbacks struggling, yet now your writer is writing about, well, while he struggles, Baker says he's ready to go. He's waiting for his opportunity. Boom, there you've got your controversy. So you're Pat Mahomes and you're Kansas City and you don't need a backup quarterback, you sign Baker Mayfield. You're not happy with your backup or whatever, you sign Baker Mayfield. That's what I'm talking about. That's who should sign Baker Mayfield. A team that does not need him whatsoever. They're just worried about depth, and they think he can compete with the backup to provide some playing time just in case something happens. That's where you go with Baker Mayfield. An offense that kind of suits him behind a quarterback that he clearly will be the backup to. That would be the only way I would handle the Baker Mayfield situation. True Fin Fan says, what is it? No, if we want to compare Tua to Marino, I put it like this. What numbers would Dan have in today's game and how long would Tua last in the 80s? No comparison. Tua can be great now. Yeah, he can be great then too, as long as he learned how to get rid of the football. You know what I'm saying? And not take all those unnecessary shots. He could be great also. But Marino would tear it up in this NFL too. Yes. Baker's commercials were entertaining. I will give him that. His play has been terrible, but those commercials were solid. I agree. That's the reason why I want Baker to have success somewhere. Just so he can continue the commercials. Because, overall, I thought he did a good job with the commercials. Got to give him credit there. All right, so we talked about Crap Tar. We talked about Nike canceling Kyrie. Christy Alley passing away. Baker Mayfield. Talked a little Heat. Oh, how about this? So we talked about this, right? And we got this whole overreaction going on from some Dolphin fans. But I want to also tell you that, and I mentioned this yesterday, having said all of that, did Vegas lose any confidence? No, they've got the Dolphins favored by 2.5. So they feel good about the Dolphins going into this game, like I do. I told you in the postgame show that what the game gave me was confidence about the Chargers. Right away. I said, Tua's not going to play like this again for the rest of the year. He had a bad game. That's it. Done. We're over. We move on. He'll be lights out next week. Chargers defense isn't that good. Not like the Niners. And the Niners defense wasn't really affecting Tua. Tua affected Tua. So I feel great about it. Well, guess what's happened now in the last 24 hours since we talked about the Dolphins being favored by 2.5. Remember, when you're home, you automatically get 3. So the Chargers aren't getting their 3. The Dolphins are 2.5. That's a 5.5 point swing. The line went up to 3 today. The money continues to roll in on the Miami Dolphins. So for you panic wussies out there that are freaking out about everything that went on this week, which I told you should not, it's pretty simple. The plays were there to be made, and Tua did not make the plays. He'll make them next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and he'll make them in the Super Bowl, and they'll win it. But he didn't make it this week. But we've got people walking the plank. They're panicking. They're jumping off bridges and buildings. And, oh, my God, this, that. And here's Vegas with an opening line of making Miami the favorite. And then here's the gamblers following up going, no, I'm putting my money on Miami, where the line is now climbing to 3. So it seems like a lot of people in this world and in Vegas have a lot more confidence in the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa than some of you out there. Well, what was that? Shame on you, right? Was that the whole deal? Shame on you? Shame on you for not having faith in your Miami Dolphins. What is wrong with some of you out there? Don't forget, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. Let's check in here a little bit of the market. See what's going on. Bitcoin's still strong right now. Alethea is popping, man. I don't know why the hell it's popping so much. Freaking amazing. All right. What else do we have here? Big O, where do you rate Miami in the AFC now? Kansas City, Buffalo, Miami. That's it. They're right there behind those teams. Okay? And if they beat Buffalo, then obviously they leapfrog Buffalo. But I'm giving KC their love. They deserve it, bro. They're the best team in the NFL. I'm going to give them the props. And I think Miami, if you get this Miami with Armstead, they win in Buffalo. And then they can take the spot at number 2. But I'm going to give the respect to the teams that have been there already in KC and Buffalo, and then Miami's right after. Okay? This loss did nothing to me at all. Nothing whatsoever. Did not faze me at all. In fact, it emboldened me even more. Just like the first 2 years of Tua emboldened me. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? How can you be so confident in the guy? Well, look at him. He won more than he lost, threw more touchdowns and interceptions, and he did it with practically nothing around him. Just give him something, and you'll see. So I'm going down that road. Okay? Miami's better than Cincinnati, John Yang. Okay? This team with Armstead is a better team than the Super Bowl team that went last year for Cincinnati. Yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Big O, nothing gets a team closer than a 3-game road trip. If it gets special, it starts Sunday night. What say you? I agree. Good bonding time. Now you got to come out of it with some wins to really embolden and like solidify those relationships. You really need to get it done. Okay. Kevin says, Big O, market here. Waddle has massive game this Sunday night. He seems frustrated Sunday, 1 catch. Yes. Don't be surprised if 9 catches, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to watching those guys kick some ass. Now, Waddle, I don't know how healthy he is, so I hope he's a little better with that ankle. I'm not necessarily worried too much about Tua, to be quite honest. You know, it's all good in the hood. All right, we are out of here. We thank everybody that tuned in, everybody that subscribed to the show. Please hit the like button on your way out. If you're watching later on during the evening or the night or the afternoon, anywhere around the world, please smash the like button, share the web page, share the YouTube page with folks so we can get more subscribers. We're trying to make that push to 20,000, man. Let's go. We're at 16,600. Let's get us to 17. Let's get us to 20. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers. Help us out. Don't forget to follow us also on Rumble, Big O Radio Show. Download the app Rumble. We might end up doing something like a show there that's specifically made just for the Rumble broadcast, and that's it. Because, in order to monetize it the right way with them, they got to own your content. I'm not giving them this content. I'm not doing that. That's some communist ass stuff. I'm not doing that. You're not owning what I work for, what Sean works for, what Chad works for, what Mike McCoy, what all of our insiders we're working hard to build, and we're going to have somebody control our content? No. I didn't leave corporate America to tie myself to some other effing corporation. You know what I'm saying? So, and Rumble's rules and policies are not even clear to the consumer, which is very, very irresponsible. So I know a lot of you are following out there, and I want to reward the folks because maybe we can build something on that one because it is another source that people are using, but it might be just special shows specifically for that one. So please follow us on Rumble, and we're going to be doing some other things also on other platforms, but we're working on all of that. All right, on behalf of Sean, Chad, everybody, don't forget tonight, Mike McCoy coming your way with the Miami Hurricanes watch at 8 o'clock. Gabby Arrudia is going to be joining him. There's a lot of recruiting talk going on in and out of the portals, in and out of the program. Gabby is as well connected as anybody, and Mike McCoy is a effing recruiting maniac. He follows all of that stuff. So if you're a University of Miami fan, 8 o'clock tonight, every Thursday night, it is the Miami Hurricanes watch. Check it out. The Gridiron, by the way, will be back, but it'll only be in the offseason once a month. So we'll do something closer to the end of the month, right before the bowl games. All right? We will see you guys tomorrow, a little earlier. We got Inside the Paint. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one. We love you all.